All right, I think we are ready to get back to it. So let's see what the hell we were doing at the time. Okay. All right, I remember now. So we have successfully looted and explored everything south and west of Pleasant Valley. Anything we care to get, we've already got.
All this gear is slowing me down.
That's right, we got all the gear. Dumped whatever we wanted to find at the Coastal Highway base, and now we're heading north to map out Pleasant Valley. I've pretty much gone around the edge. I found 2 exits. I was really only expecting to find one to the north. I don't know where Keeper's Path South goes, but I do know that there's a wolf there and we'll be heading back there later. The first day, we made it all the way. Well, first we hit Thompson's Crossing and dropped some stuff at our base, and then we headed north, went all the way up to the corner here before looking into a cave and popping a squat, taking a nap for the night. Second day, head all the way over on the north side, and there's a kind of like a farm place that we dropped a bunch of stuff and sort of survived and subsisted for a while a blizzard trolled us. And now, last night, I guess it'd be yesterday into last night, we started at this destroyed cabin. We headed down this way. I guess we left pretty late because by the time we got here, it was too dark to continue surveying. Kept going south during the night, got jumped by a couple of wolves a few times, and finally found a vehicle to sleep in. We also checked out Keeper's Pass a little bit. Only dipped the toes into that one though. Because what I really want to do is I really want to fill out this Pleasant Valley map before moving on. So we dropped some stuff that we found on the way in this car, and then we started to head south when a blizzard came up on us. Luckily, this region, Pleasant Valley, is the location for I guess it's the third episode in the campaign. So I'm somewhat familiar with certain parts of it. One of the parts I'm familiar with is down in the southwestern corner here. There's like a signal station. That's one of you go there for one of the objectives. And so I knew, we were kind of out in the middle when that blizzard hit. I knew that if I could kind of find some landmarks, I could wander and stumble my way into that radio tower station. And luckily enough, we did eventually find the chain link fence surrounding the radio station. Now we're inside. And let's see, is it still blizzardy outside? I think it might be based on the wind.
Too heavy to carry.
Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to hunker down in here until that blizzard goes away, because I want to then backtrack up this northern edge, do a little bit of surveying, and then continue back down to Thompson's Crossing. Sort of make a big donut out of this map. Okay, but until then, let's remember exactly what we have to deal with. So we're decent-ish on food and water. Actually, we're kind of low on food now, aren't we? Well, it's not the worst situation to be in. Could be better, though. It definitely could be better. Let me think momentarily. Yeah, is there anything that we can repair in the meantime? Well, I guess we can... It is almost night. Let's sleep for an hour and then see if we can sleep for an hour and see if we can wait this blizzard out, because sometimes it'll be light enough during the night that we can actually continue to survey. Fingers crossed. Okay, it's getting darker. Oops. Misclick. And I do still hear the wind, so let's just finish up this sleep. And wake up. Alright, this blizzard is just not leaving us alone. It's definitely going to be too light to do anything outside. So we might just be stuck here until the morning. Let's take a peek. Who knows, maybe we'll get lucky on the door transition. Ah, it's going to be a no. Well, don't think there's a pry bar. I don't need another pry bar. These things never go. Pry bars never break. But is there anything around here to be picked up? A little bit of firewood. That's not really necessary at the moment. Okay. Somehow it's still this light inside? I do not know how that works. Okay, at any rate, we can stumble around and see if there's anything good hidden in these containers.
End up being useful.
Maple syrup. Yes, truly, the Canadian staple. Thick and sweet. High-calorie condiment is an excellent source of energy. Pancakes not included. Well, that just ruins it. Combat boots, not bad. If I didn't have these Gucci'd up animal clothing boots, I'd definitely be into the combat boots. Because they're not super fantastic for temperature. Well, I guess they're actually decent-ish. But what they are great at is 10% defense.
Feels like a lot of gear.
Which I do like. Military coat, okay. This is some high-quality loot here. Either that or someone is cosplaying as a soldier. Okay, a workbench. Interesting. I didn't know there was a workbench up here. Peanut butter. Cans of food we can eat. Now, even though this peanut butter is ruined, because we have maximum cooking proficiency, you see it says never get parasites or food poisoning. And that means even though the peanut butter is ruined and moldy and infested with bacteria, we can eat it with aplomb and not have to worry about anything going wrong. Which is a stat interaction that I just recently realized and is extremely strong.
I think I can use this.
Love to see a match. And in fact, if we're heading north, I've actually got half a mind to dump a bunch of stuff in one of these lockers. Because if we do that, we'll be a lot faster than, faster walking around, which is going to make traversal a whole lot easier. And here's one of the only good things a pry bar is for.
What have we here?
Okay. Mostly clothing related. Not that we actually need any of it. But I suppose if we were earlier on in the run, this would definitely be a good spot to check out. Simple tools, don't need them. Okay, so let's toss all of our stuff in one of these lockers that we're not going to carry along. Okay, what do we not need? We don't need a newsprint. I didn't realize we were a little bit low on... I mean, we're not really low on matches, but we don't have an infinite number of matches. What can we drop? We can drop a bunch of the extra clothing items. By a bunch, I mean we can drop all of the extra clothing items. Maybe even drop a bit of this food. I don't want to drop all that much of it because we're not so stocked up that I think I might hear the wind going down. I think the wind just abated. Okay, let's check outside.
I might have to drop some gear.
All right, so snowy, it's too dark, but it's not a proper blizzard. What I would like to do is use Mackenzie's possibly amazing vision and eyesight to start reading one of these skill books. Maybe for a few hours. I don't know how he reads in the dark, but he manages. Or at least for a little bit. Okay. But we don't want to sit out here for too long. How much did we actually get in this book? Barely anything. It's too dark inside. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that works out. But it is what it is, I suppose. Okay, what can we dump? We can come back for maybe a couple E-stems. Oh, we can drop all of this stuff that we've hunted along the way and pick it up on the way back. Okay, that is going to lighten us a heck of a lot. And it will also begin the process of these things curing, which is what's going to happen before we can make use of any of it. And we probably don't need all this much cloth. So let's drop, let's say most of it. Okay, and now we're actually pretty fast. We can, once again, sleep a little bit, get us steps and steps closer to morning. Just closer and closer, one step at a time. It's sounding less windy outside. I wonder if we can read again. Okay, I'm thinking that's going to be a maybe. It's going to be a maybe. Okay, snuck in 2 hours, maybe sneak in one more. Okay, easy, easy. And now we can sleep until it's properly light.
My fingers feel numb.
Of course, with the hope that when we wake up, it's not foggy outside. Yes. We slurp. Let's risk this energy bar. And nothing bad happens. And now we are actually quite low on the food situation. See if we can sneak 2 hours of sleep in. All right, looking good. And it is looking proper bright. Guess another emergency stim won't hurt. And okay, let's get to the edge over here and pop this charcoal. I do want to be a little bit careful because in the campaign there's a bear that kind of sharks around this area. Yeah, I wish this was a Vista because then we could survey all of this and it would just save so much time. Oh, look at this. Look at all this. That is a long ways to go. Yeah, last night we came all the way down that frozen edge over there. Okay, let's head out. And see what we can see. Actually, let me mess a little bit around with this overlay thing. What do I want to do? I want to change the opacity of that background. And how could I do such a thing? Like this, I think. Okay, let's try this. Let's do Where did it go? One of these and one of those. And paste and apply. And let's see if that is helpful at all. Oops. Wrong click. Wrong click. Got too many tabs. An infinite number of tabs. Okay. Okay. So let's make sure that we don't sneak up on a bear down here. And if we really have to, we can warm up over by that car. But I'm thinking bear-wise, we should be fine. Because I don't hear anything. And normally you'll hear a paw pad first. Hey, I see you over there, Mr. Wolf. Yeah, last night in the blizzard, we were walking around all these hills. Okay, I think we pop a charcoal here, see if the wolf comes any closer, because we do have 3 scent marks. And 3 scent marks means we are extremely attractive, not only for our just devilish good looks, also for our delicious scent. And hunting this wolf might actually be the best way to get a little bit of food. Well, let's head over in that direction. I don't see where he ended up. And it would be ideal to not get snuck up on. I prefer to be he who sneaks, as opposed to he who is snuck. Maybe we heard an awoo. What do we see? Maybe we heard another awoo. Okay, there's that guy. Actually, let's go around. Just a little bit around. Because if you can avoid conflict, I prefer that. Okay, we got rabbits up here. And yeah. Yeah, this is, I guess, the main road that you go up. I wanted to come back this way anyway, instead of going farther to the east like that goes. Rabbits. They're too cute to get. Also hardly worth the calories. Man, that is a lot of wolves over there. That is a lot of wolves. Okay, yeah, chilly. It should be warming up as the day goes a little bit past noon. Okay. This is probably a good place to charcoal as long as that guy doesn't come this way. Alright, excellent. Always want to scroll down and get the low condition bow. Yeah, this is the way we came up during the night. Yeah, more rabbits, so many rabbits. Okay, so we should have a straight shot back to that car, and then we can head farther north. Which should be easy peasy. Okay, looking clear. Clear skies and clear grounds. It's exactly what I love to see. And clear airwaves, exactly what I love to hear. Of course, we did get hunted over here by a wolf last night, but he was coming in from farther north. Hopefully we'll see him before he sees us. And now that we've dropped all this pelts and guts, we don't have an infinite number of scent marks. Which means we're basically invisible to them. Okay. Want to get a move on. Hey, Curie. Welcome to the coldness. I don't know if I'd call it grinding, but I've got something of a completionist situation with respect to this game. I don't know, I mentioned this a while ago, but I played this game a long time ago, a lot closer to when it came out. And during that time, you see all of these different regions. At that time, I think the only 2 or 3 regions available were Coastal Highway, Desolation Point, and Pleasant Valley. And so, you know, I spent a lot of time mostly in Coastal Highway when I first played it. But in this recent run, which is basically the second survival run that I've ever done, I've searched and basically explored all of these regions in the south and in the west. Pleasant Valley I visited during the campaign once, and there's 3 regions up here. Blackrock is also in the campaign, but Ash Canyon and Timberwolf Mountain, they're new and I've never been there. So what I'm kind of, my it's not ADD, it's obsessive compulsive brain is telling me, you need to go and survey most of these places. Yeah, I mean, the weather right now is as good as I could ever hope for. The weather at the end of the last stream is as bad as I could ever hope for. Between the wolves, the blizzard, and getting kind of lost in this bottom left area here before finding the Signal Hill. Luckily, because in the campaign, you do end up coming to this Signal Hill building, and it's pretty much the only building in the entire southern / southwestern corner of the map. So if I didn't find that, I would have frozen to death. But luckily we got it. As you can see, I've been going around the edge of this map and scouting, surveying as we go, but it got too dark at the top left corner here. So I'm just heading over to fill in these gaps. So we've almost made a donut. Almost made a donut, and it should be pretty quick. Now there was a wolf that chased us down this frozen riverbed, but I haven't heard him a-woo in a minute. So with any luck, he's not here anymore. Of course, with my luck, he is here. Yeah, I don't know, have you ever played this game or tried it? Anything like it? Or do you maybe just live in Canada? Because I've been told this is just the Canadian lifestyle simulator. All right, I love seeing one of these tiny little birch saplings because there's 2 things I like in this world. I love chopping down a tree before its prime, and I also love being able to make arrows out of birch saplings. Well, you know, you probably wouldn't believe it. Other than this, I actually play Arma 3. If you have paid attention to sort of social media during any sort of war or conflict, and you've seen, you know, the close-up views of a fighter jet getting, you know, shot at by anti-air or like missiles or an anti-air gun, what you've probably seen is a gameplay clip from Arma 3. And so that's the other game I play mostly. But I don't play that one too much recently. Yeah. Okay. So, when I went by this cave here last night, one, there were skeletons of things in it, which usually means it's a bear cave. And I'm hoping to not run into that bear up here. Because it would be a waste for 2 reasons. One, I don't really want to fight a bear. And 2, if I actually fight a bear, this is, of course, assuming that I win, which is, you know, never a sure thing. But if we fight the bear and we win, all of its meat will be way out in this corner up here, which is not the most convenient place for it to be. Okay, I think this is probably a good place to pop another charcoal. I usually overestimate how far I've walked and end up overlapping these surveying regions. So it is a little bit of a waste. Oh, that was pretty good. Okay, let's see. Uh-oh. A body. Rabbit Grove. I believe I actually came... Yeah, okay, I remember this. I remember this location because in the night, I looked over here at these icicles and I thought that was a cave that you could go into, but it was a dead end. So let's just take one peek up here because there was... thought I heard something. There was a little path up into those rocks over on our right. So let's sneak over there. Okay, and prepare just in case there's something waiting for us. Because it wouldn't be impossible for there to be wolves over here too. Honestly, it's probably been only 2 or 3 weeks. Not that long, as you can tell by everything being bare bones. Yeah, this is the little pass I want to go up into. But I've been putting things together sort of slowly. It's basically a hobby, right? I've put together the little avatar, figured out how to make OBS go. And then once I figure out, you know, one, I've got more changes I want to make to this, you know, completely default color texture avatar situation. That should be fun because I'll need to learn how to draw things. And then, you know, just other things that I can try. Okay. There is a lot less here than I was expecting. Yeah, so that over there is where we spent the night a couple of nights ago. And there should be a little bit of food there if we need it. Let's see. And let's actually do a charcoal here. Yeah, first of all, I need to figure out exactly what is possible on that front. But as far as like, you know, making that stuff, it's kind of part of the hobby aspect. I'd like to do it all sort of myself, at least give it a shot for the first time. Let's see. I guess this is just a way over. Okay, let me head back south now. But yeah, if you have like a Twitter, or I guess it's an X now or something like that, and I could take a peek and see what's up. Let's see. I actually don't have a Discord quite yet. Oh no, there's a man here. Does he have any good games on his phone? Yeah, as far as like overlays and that kind of thing, I kind of am looking forward to giving it at least a try once or twice on my own. Just to be able to, there's sort of an aspect of, you know, I've made this, or at least I've tried to make it once. But yeah, if you want to, I think I've got, yeah, I do have a Twitter, and it should be the same name as the channel here. So if you've got stuff there, then I can definitely take a look and see what's, you know, see what your aesthetic is. Where are we? Okay, let's just head back. I feel like there's going to be a bunch of wolves over to the south. Yeah, sometimes I forget about it, so I'm not, you know, the next time I log on, I'll probably see the notification. But I can't exactly promise when that will be. Okay, let's see. Am I feeling brave? I think I am. Let's go inland here, just to do a little bit more charcoaling on the way back. And the downside would be getting attacked by something fluffy and getting nibbled just a little bit. But I think because we don't have any scent marks, it should be at least moderately safe. But it doesn't hurt to be prepared. Yeah, I do hear a wooze. But I do not see a wooze. What have we got going on here? I'm liking the sight line through this flat... It's kind of a forested area, but it's basically a flat field. Take a listen, make sure nothing is sneaking up over this hill. I think it should be safe. Okay, well, I guess next time I go onto X, I'll search for Hori Yuri. And if you pop up, I'll take a click there. Yeah, those are pretty good. Let's keep heading south here. Oh, I spoke too soon. Okay, let's see though. Are you alone? If this guy's alone, maybe we go and troll him a little bit. Let's think. I wonder if there's a fire bin over here in this dilapidated building. I think we... Okay, no underscore. Yeah, the next time I'm on Twitter, I'll look for it. Yeah, I think this guy's alone, so I think we'll go and do a little bit of trolling. The question is, how close can we get? I think the answer might be rather close. Oh, come on. Alright, fine. Are you in stalking mode? Or are you in sprinting mode? Let's see. Where do we want to take this? Let's find a nice little straight bit. Actually, if we can lure this guy over to the building... That might be the play. I think this is the play. I think we lure him closer and try to give him a quick pop. Although, did he just give up? Did we just walk over a tiny... Oh, nope. Still there. Okay, come on, bud. Come on. I mean, I don't know. Right now, it's just... something to do for fun in the free time. We'll see how serious it gets. Okay, and let's see if we can... Come on, you gonna juke? You gonna juke? Gotcha. Okay. Easy. Easy. Although I do hear more awoos over to the south, so that's somewhat concerning. Yeah, because I mean, it's like kind of like a... It's kind of like a crapshoot, right? So even if it's something that you want to really get into, it's not exactly something you can force. Okay. So we'll harvest this dude, maybe... Actually, yeah, pop another charcoal because, you know, I didn't even check to see if there's a fire pit in here, and there isn't a fire pit. Well, that is somewhat unfortunate. Okay, some decent stuff. Quality tools. I kind of want to take it just because it's... quality tools. Yeah, so next time I'm on X, I'll take a peek and see what's going on your profile. Okay, let's see. We have 3 scent marks. That's not good. But we're good, and it's kind of warm. So let us continue on. Actually, let's see if we can get over to that barn that we saw earlier. Cedar limbs. Because that barn should have just about anything we care to have. Cooking-wise, anyway. Okay, let's prepare, and by prepare I mean get out the low-condition bow, because you want to use the low-quality stuff. Alright, see ya. And good luck with your next endeavor. Yeah, I need to water my mint too, actually. I've got a few mint plants growing in my windowsill. And unfortunately, I used different kinds of potting soil in some of the pots, and so they dry out at different rates. So I can't just have them all on the one schedule. I have to go one by one. It's actually very inconvenient. But I suppose that is part and parcel of being a plant daddy. Yeah, it's, let's just say that strategic blunders were made. They were definitely made. But I'll see you on the flip side, Curie. Okay, is there a tiny little nook in here? This looks like it might be a cute little spot. Actually, I wonder if this is one of the places where you go during the campaign. I'm not sure. But I think it probably is. Okay, crows mean something bad happened. Okay, crow feathers, crow feathers, crow feathers, and wouldn't you know, hunting rifle. Kind of not great quality, and it's probably empty. Which means, until I can find some... Actually, am I carrying any rifle rounds? We are. But at the same... Oh, hello. We got smelled. And we are in a cul-de-sac, which means we probably just have to fight it out here. Fantastic. Can we get out in time, though? Because someone barked, but was he barking at us? Or was he barking at that deer? There's only one way to find out. And that's to find the deer and... Okay, the deer is being hunted. And actually, I want to go and third party this. Oh, more wolf. Why is there so much wolf? Oh, and that deer is running off into the middle of nowhere. That is really inconvenient, actually. Let's see. How do we want to handle this? Kind of want to go and third party that. But that's so much meat to take back and forth. But I think we need the food. I do think we need the food, so let's head over. We can pop this guy as he chases. And then we can pop this deer, or this deer eater, when we get there. Alright, come on. Come on, you're fine. It definitely could have been a more convenient situation. Where did this second wolf come from? Come on, bud. Come on. Yeah, there's nowhere to put this meat, huh? Okay, now it is time for you to come. So, come on. Yeah, you're not dodging this. Pop. And because the bow is the silent killer, that means we could sneak up on this dude right here. And pop him quite trivially. Assuming we don't miss. Okay. So you're running off, which isn't great. Kind of would have liked to get just a clean kill there. But let's harvest. And I think maybe drop the rifle. Ooh, that's blizzard noises, isn't it? That is not good.
All I could think about is food.
Okay. Really? There's two more wolves? You gotta be kidding me. Okay, you know what? Let's... Where did my... You know what? I dropped the maple syrup, didn't I? Okay. And you're coming quickly. Quickly get out the correct bow, please. You're running. You're fighting. Come on. Let's just finish this quick. There we go, right in the noggin. Okay. Well, this is kind of a waste. Alright. We gotta get out of here before this blizzard sets in. Really? Buddy. Buddy, you can't be serious. Alright, let's get this over with. Pop. You know, you'd think they'd learn. You think they'd learn, but I guess not. Where is... here? Okay, so these carcasses I think will actually have to sit here. Because we need to go and find some kind of shelter and fire. Let's eat what we can to reduce our carry weight. Man, we're also low on fatigue, huh? Okay, let's think. Let's eat some marshmallows. Yeah, this is not the best situation to be in. Not the worst, but not the best. I think if we head this way, there should be a farm field, at the end of which is a barn. So I think we're just going to have to suck it up until we find it. Definitely not the best situation. Especially because I think we might be low on firewood. Well, I'm sure the barn, if we can find it, will have some reclaimed wood inside. But I definitely am not trying to freeze my bowhunkers up. And what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 wolves and a deer. 5 wolves, really, if you count that one from before. And the one that ran off with my arrow. How rude. Definitely gonna have to hunt that guy down. Because there's not many things that are worse than just losing an arrow. For no real reason. Alright, come on, let's move it. Hopefully before this full blizzard sets in, I would like to get my eyes on that barn before we can't see more than 5 feet in front of us. Okay, there we go. There we are. Actually, I suppose that's the house, not the barn. But either way, it'll work. Actually, if it's the house, it might be even better, because that has a chance of having a 6-burner stove. Which is the absolute best kind of cooking utensil. Well, I guess it's not a utensil, but cooking equipment. Do like a good 6-burner stove. Okay, we're walking. Very slowly because it is just barely into the wind. That is killing the walk speed. Well, on the plus side, we should be able to finish up surveying this northern area completely free of wolves. Okay, love to see it. In fact, if it wasn't going to get colder during the night, the sound of this wind could lull you to sleep. Okay, Pleasant Valley Farmstead. I'm feeling a little bit spicy. Let's pop this last charcoal. Alright, perfect. Looking real good. And it's just about dusk, which is a good time to be able to take a nap. Let's go around the outside, round the outside one time just to see if there's a fire bin. We're not looking for a fire pit. We're looking for a bin with all the fixins. Hey, what the dog doing? And it looks like we have no such luck. Okay,
I'm not
is it
gonna be
pitch
able to
dark?
carry this load
This
for
is
much
practically
longer.
pitch dark. Luckily, actually, I think I dropped it. I don't think we're carrying that lantern anymore. We are carrying the lantern. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's kind of a waste to use it in the house. But heck, what else are you going to do, right? Okay, we got coffee. I will take these books to burn them. I promise I don't usually burn books. I just burn the ones that are boring. I've seen that bear, this evil red-eyed bear. Cabinet probably just has clothes, right? If that. Okay. Actually, we can leave most of this searching for later. What I really want to do is get started on the cooking, get started on the making more charcoal. We are going to need to get, our 6-burner stove. And it's got a free cooking pot with it. Ooh, 4 charcoal in the stove. That's very nice. Okay, what can we do here? Cardboard matches. Use a book. We can get this cooking and this burning started. And then what we can do... Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at those things getting highlighted. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Burn all the books. A few of the sticks. We read the gunsmithing book, so we can burn this one. We don't want to burn the gun book. Okay. Place pot number 1. Place pot number 2. And these guys, because we are low on water, we want to just juice, absolutely juice the 2 liters. And here we can raw dog the cooking of the meat. And actually, we can get a little bit spicy and even take a torch to explore. Okay, it's safe to explore the inside of a house with a torch, right? The scrawled musings of a survivor who was here before you. Bread is about 2 parts flour to 1 part water, at equal parts salt and rising agent. Small pile about the size of a quarter. Yeast if you're lucky, baking soda if you're not. Raw dough should be tacky but not wet after kneading. Heat at 400 Fahrenheit for 30 minutes if the oven works. If you only have a fire, drop the dough in a heavy preheated pan and rotate every 10 minutes until evenly brown. And you hear a hollow sound when tapping the crust. Okay, now. I'll let you guys in on a little bit of a secret. I cook bread. I have cooked 1 or 2 breads in my time. And if you do 2 parts flour to 1 part water, you're going to get some moderately dry bread. If you want that high quality, artisanal, fire roasted, little bubbles in the crumb loaf, what you really want is about, what would it be? It's 3 cups water plus a little bit and 1.25 cups. No, the other way around. 3 cups of flour and 1.25 cups of water. And that should be right about at a good spot for having something that is just kneadable, just workable, especially if you can get a little bit of flour on the surface that you're working with. You know, you can do the slap and fold method, and it'll give you a nice little. You can make a baguette with it. You can get that artisanal loaf, and it's just pretty good. Actually, how much salt did it say? Notes found. Note left behind. 2 parts flour, equal parts salt and rising agent. So this is a lie. This is an absolute lie. Salt, you probably want at least 2 tablespoons. No. You probably want at least 1 tablespoon of salt per cup of flour. No, tablespoon? It might be 1 teaspoon of salt per cup of flour. But it's more salt than you would think. Yeast, you only need like half a tablespoon. for baking soda, well, hold on. Let's even back up farther. One thing at a time. First, let's place the food. Yeast, you probably only need at most a half a teaspoon. You probably want at least 2 or 3 teaspoons full of salt, maybe even a couple of tablespoons. And we can put this back in. Ruined torch. Baking soda is a base. And it's like something bicarbonate on its own. Baking soda alone will not leaven your bread. You need an acid to activate with the baking soda and create the bubbles that will actually cause the bread to rise. Baking powder will work as a one-off leavening agent because baking powder is the baking soda. In addition, it has a little bit of cream of tartar, which is an acid that will make the baking soda part of things do the rising. So if you just put baking powder in your water and flour mixture and expect to get some kind of risen quick bread out of it, you will be sorely disappointed. Okay, let's take a torch and see if we can find some more storm lantern.
Hope nobody needs this.
So many storm lanterns. See if we can find some extra wood cedar firewood to cook with, or to burn more precisely. Okay, the fish we can cook, but basically the long and the short of that is
I can barely walk with this much gear.
you can't always trust recipes that you see in online, right? I mean, really, who would do that? Go on the internet and tell lies? Certainly not me. Certainly not me. Can't be me. Okay, more cooking pots. This is actually a well-stocked kitchen.
Wonder if the owner's around.
Condensed milk, love to see it. Water purification tablets can usually, more maple syrup, can usually leave those. I always forget that they exist, and I always just boil water. But I suppose if you're in a real pinch, you could use them. Okay, dog food, because there was a dog outside, or a dog house. 15 minutes till boiled. We're definitely going to be using all this burn time. Okay, how long does it take to break down a chair? 1 hour. Really? It takes 1 hour to break down a chair with a hatchet? I feel like I could do it in 5 minutes. Coffee? That's light enough we can take it for free. Well, that might be some girl math. Maybe ignore that. Antibiotics you love to find. Because if you eat something and get sick, it is a bad time. In fact, it's one of the worst times you can have, in my opinion. Sport vest, don't really need that quite yet. Where's some more books we can burn? I promise I am usually not so gung-ho about burning books. Okay, 2 hours for a shelf to break down. More books. Ooh, that is readable, but I think our cooking skill is already completely maxed out. So I think we can actually just burn that. Okay. Let's get this meat. We've got the meats. Okay, we can start the venison. I want to use this back burner to put the other pot on, just because I don't want it to start obscuring things. Okay, first off, what we can do is we can drop all of these recycled cans. Second off, what we can do is we can drop all this extra meat that we're about to cook but have not cooked yet. Okay, that's in 9 minutes. I guess we can speed up to 9 minutes. Take you. Place this nasty fish to make it a delicious fish. And let's start some more water. We can make this as our next base of operations. We did drop a whole bunch of stuff over on Signal
this
Hill.
gear is slowing me down.
But it's not so far away that we can't just take a quick little jaunt around there. Okay. Let us drop the water somewhere easy to find. I guess right here. First, get a little bit of a slurp. And actually we can eat these wolf meats. And drop most. By 6, drop to drop, drop, drop. Drop the meat on the water. Maybe it'll be flavored by the time we get back. Take a torch, and now we walk faster, and we can check upstairs before things burn. We'll go into the basement later. Surely there aren't going to be any skeletons in the basement, right? I do want to be a little bit quick about this. Because it would be a shame to waste one of two things. One, it would be a shame if things burned down there. And two, it would be a shame if we wasted any of the burn time. I like a good work pant. Do enjoy a good firearm cleaning kit. And I like a good... Give me that book. I do like a good scrap metal. Mom, anything cheeky over here? Not really. Okay.
I'm gonna need to rest soon.
Don't worry, you'll be able to, at this rate, go to bed at dawn and sleep through until dusk. It's actually the opposite of what I want. I want to wake up at dawn, not sleep then. Okay, quickly before the torch dies. More book means more burn time. Let's see, okay, looking good. And let's head back down. One thing that we can actually do until to either manipulate or prepare is if the fire burns out, we can try to break down some of these chairs in the dark. What that'll let us do is burn time and also prepare to make another fire. Okay, how much do we really have to cook here? Cooked,
This gear's
cooked,
starting to
cooked,
slow me
cooked.
down.
Feel like I dropped it all, didn't I? Yes. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have 2 more rounds of cooking. Do the pot. Never have too much water. Okay, drop you. Drop you and give you a drippity drop, drop, drop. 5 minutes, 40 minutes, and you're 2 hours. Okay, so that's easy. That's definitely got time. Keep the book. We can take a torch and drop a bunch of this water that we just picked up, can't we? And food, I suppose. Drop, drop, drop. Did not mean to press that escape button. Water. I guess we didn't pick up any. Okay, so let us head... How are we so heavy? Well, I guess it is what it is. Could head back up and check out those other rooms. See if they've got any good swag. Let's see, what is the thing that I would most like to find up here?
Someone's stash.
I wouldn't call a pair of worn socks a stash, but you do you, Will Mackenzie. Magnifying lens is always nice to find, but we do already have one. What would be nice to find? I guess some ammunition would be nice to find, but... And wouldn't you know it? I guess you can't always get lucky. But you can't always not get lucky.
Never would have thought to look here.
Okay. Actually, that's pretty decent medical. Bunch of cloth in case we get mauled by something fluffy. Okay. And have we checked these other rooms? I think so. So let's just finish cooking and then we can sleep. Sleep until morn and then some. Might wake up in the early morning at this rate, actually. Not half bad. Do you want to take a quick jaunt to the basement? Add fuel, the ruined torch. And 3% torch. Okay. Yeah, let's speed this up. And
This
cooked,
pack is
and
getting too heavy to carry.
cooked. Okay, now we've got what? 2 more? Yes. Okay, 7, 6 till boiled, 40 till boiled, and an hour and 8. Alright, so that's good. I think we're pretty okay on the food front to go back and forth and harvest those animals that we hunted by proxy. So that's probably what we do tomorrow. In the meantime, I don't want to stumble my way in the darkness all the way up to the bed. So let's put a bedroll right here. We can find a little, there we go. We can find the perfect pixel to place it in. Get our water, and let's see, 1 hour. We can probably do another liter each and not have to worry about, yeah, we probably shouldn't have to worry about that cooking off. Okay, 14 minutes, let's speed up time for that. And 6, yeah, speed up time for this. Okay, food-wise we're set. Water-wise we are definitely set. Speaking of which, let's drop most of the stuff we're not going to need until tomorrow. And sleep through till probably about 10 a.m. Which is actually a pretty nice time to wake up because it's not so cold that you immediately have to seek shelter inside. But it's also not so late in the day. I guess we can do... It's also not so late in the day that you don't have much time to do anything before you have to go to bed. Or at least before it gets dark.
Need a drink.
Bro, drink it. Water everywhere, and it's all for drinking. Yeah, so these guys didn't burn off. Let's see. I kind of want to have one of these pots with me at all times, just in case.
Feels like a lot of gear.
It's because it is a lot of gear, but it's about to be a lot less gear. Drop most of you. Yes. Okay, let's keep this stuff. We can eat it if we need it while we're harvesting. And what else can we drop? We can drop a whole bunch of firewood. That would be a good thing to drop here. All the books. I always want to keep a stick or two. And we can drop this because, yeah, we're already fully researched. So drop you. Yeah, skills are too advanced for that research item. What is all of this carry weight in then? I guess we did pick up a lot of clothes. Let's put the clothes in one of these drawers. Okay. And let's just start dumping with very little care. Not as much weight as I was hoping. So what are we carrying? I keep pressing the wrong button. What are we carrying that's so heavy? 2 kilograms here. How do we have 2 kilograms here? Yes, that's one. Okay, I guess that's fine. Okay, we've got a bunch of medical that we don't need all of. So we can actually, I'd forgotten how heavy these water purification tablets are. And we're not Dr. House, so we don't need so many painkillers. Let's see, what else have we got? I guess we can put some of this food in. Maybe just the maple syrup. And we can definitely do some of this equipment. Let's stow that bow here. Hopefully we won't need 2. Sewing kits can go inside. Ammunition is fine, except we don't have a revolver. And I guess we've also got these things to cure. And what is a good place for curing? I guess on the rug. This is a sanitary place to put this freshly harvested and probably still moist and or dripping skins and meat, right? Let's check the basement and head out. Okay, what have we got? We have crates. Good for some reclaimed wood. Let's see, first aid. We probably didn't need to pick those up, but it's also not the worst thing in the world. Can we not be in this mode? There we go. I always accidentally press Y instead of I. They were still kind of heavy. Okay, what else is here? Metal shelf, crate, shelf, crate. More shelf, container. Empty container, matches. Barely saw that. Ah, locker. Empty locker. Nothing good in the locker. Workbench, that's nice. Metal container.
Too much stuff to carry.
It's too much stuff, but also nothing is good. Too much stuff and none of it is worth picking up. Okay, are we missing anything in the crannies? Just do a quick double check. Simple tools. Definitely don't need to pick those up. Cabinet. Looks like there's a soda beside it. Nothing, huh?
There's got to be something useful in here.
I mean, you say that, but there kind of wasn't, was there? Not even any books to burn. Okay, let's head back and dump all this garbo. Because what do we have? At least 2 full wolves. Ruined gauntlets. Okay, random reclaimed wood and work boots and a hacksaw. Anything nice in here? No. Okay. Actually didn't need anything from there. But let me tell you, so right now I am wearing some gauntlets that I found over south, I think in the Bleak Inlet. If I was starting a run and I found a pair of ruined gauntlets, man, I'd be salty. Because they're actually pretty nice in terms of they've got decent wind and cold resistance, good water resistance,
sure I can carry
good defense.
much more.
Yeah, it might be a little bit salty if I found those and I didn't have a decent pair of gauntlets already. Okay, what can we ditch? All this stuff and this and this. Okay, looking good, but still very heavy. Okay, more flares to drop. I don't think we'll need the hatchet on the way. Definitely won't need the hacksaw on the way. What can we drop? Sodas. Food is fine. Probably going to eat that before we even get to the wolves. I don't think we'll need the storm lantern on the way there. Oh, I probably want to put it somewhere to remember to pick it up. Anything we want to pick up, let's put somewhere else. Like we can drop it on the ground right here. Okay. Magnifying lens we can ditch. I am not even sure if these things break down at all, because it is just a piece of glass. In theory, I suppose it could sort of get scuffed and not work, but I've never seen the condition go down, at least that I've noticed. I'm blind. It's over here. Okay, drop you. Don't need any cattail heads. Don't need the accelerant. All right. Now, what can we ditch here? We can ditch the reclaimed wood goes with the burnables. Droppity drop, drop, drop. Always nice to have a coal just for emergencies. In case we come across any bad little boys and girls and need to give them a not Christmas present. Okay, what do we want to drop? Hatchet. Pry bar. Lantern. The full spray paint. And all the scrap metal. sulfur. Man, we are just intrinsically heavy, huh? Okay, let's head over. Let us quit with the delays. All right, where do I want to put you? Right here. Quit with the delays and go get fat on the food. Okay, which should be in this direction, if I'm gauging the relative position of the house and the silo correctly. I guess speaking of which, we also need to check the silo in that rundown little shack. Okay. I'm honestly hoping we hunted these northwestern wolves to extinction. I would really like for that to be the case. But you never know. So let's keep our ears about us. Okay, that is... Let me think. That's the body that had the rifle. Here's our wolves. Where is the fourth wolf that got away? Because that one has the arrow in him. I want that arrow back. Because even though I am an Aerosmith, I am not a 90s alternative rock band. And so I do not often smith arrows. Ooh. And do I spy a couple of birch saplings over there? I might be peeping something good. First, let's pick up these crow feathers, because you never know when you want to make a fire-hardened arrow. And let's pick up these saplings. The guy that we poked with something sticky, he ran off to the northwest. Can we get an arrow from you? No. Can we get an arrow from you? I guess we already picked it up. Okay, decent amount of wolf. Decent number of arrows. Ah. It's a grove, but what kind of grove? It looks like it might be a maple grove. But apparently looks can be deceiving because it is my favorite kind of grove. A birch grove. And of course, I dropped the hatchet that I was going to need to chop that thing up. So let's look for the wolf. That's just typical. Okay, Mr. Wolf ran this way. I don't think we're going to be so lucky as for him to have some crows flying above him. And it looks like his tracks have already disappeared. Pick up some sticks because I suspect we might actually need some more burn time to cook all this food, even with the 6-burner stove. Can you imagine how long it would take to cook everything that we had over there? We just had a two cook slot fire. Okay, here's our wolf. That is actually a much easier stalk than I was expecting. Because little dude could have been anywhere, honestly. Alright, give me my arrow, please and thank you. Okay, low amount of meat, unfortunately. Okay, wolf number 1 of 4. Okay, and now we are a little bit smelly. I think we forgot to take a shower this morning. And everyone with a wolf sona is attracted to some BO. I kind of am hoping against hope that there was a hatchet that I decided not to pick up in this little house over here. I'm not feeling good about my odds. Hopefully, my Alzheimer... Wait, hold on. This isn't what I was expecting. Where is this? You know what? Let's pop a charcoal Probably should have done it over by that wolf. Just to put this on the map and see exactly where the heck we are. Okay. A lot farther north than I was expecting. Where is that house? Where is that house? I think... Oh, that's a blizzard, isn't it? That is extremely inconvenient.
I'm gonna have to leave something behind.
Okay. I see. Especially because it might actually be kind of hard to find that farm again. Okay, well I think it's approximately in this direction. At least for starters. And I don't mind sprinting. Usually I hate sprinting because it burns your fatigue meter. Okay, yeah, here's our grove, which means our wolves ought to be this way. And our farm ought to be past the wolves. Okay. Let's use the third wolf as our guiding direction. But I don't mind burning the stamina here, just because I really suspect we're probably going to have to sleep through this blizzard. Okay, third wolf. So let's keep heading this way. And the one thing that I've learned to be afraid of in a blizzard is the clothing getting wet and giving us frostbite. So let's get out of all this. Pick up some sticks along the way. Alright, here's our open bit. Yes, okay. Here's the road. And now we're in the fields. So we just need to look for the silhouette of a silo or of that house. Whichever one we find first, I don't care. Both of them will work. Assuming we don't completely miss. It's entirely possible. Okay. The eyes are peeled. Like a delicious apple that doesn't exist in this game. And this is another situation where I'm almost certain at this point I've run too far. But I bet in exactly 5 seconds the house is going to pop up. Okay, we are... Here's the silo. Okay. Typical. Okay, now we hop inside. And then we... Yeah, what do we do? I guess we drop whatever we can. We get a hatchet to harvest those birch saplings.
Any of this gear.
And we wait until all of this clothing has... Where's the kitchen? There it is. We wait until all this clothing has dried out. Okay, food. How are we on food? We are pretty hungry. Let's drink this nasty maple syrup. And eat some beef jerky. And why? No wonder we're so heavy. I didn't drop that last batch of water that we made. Ah. Well, I suppose if no one tells me, how am I to know? Okay, we want to drop about yay. Okay, let's see. Sprain risk healed. What did we pick up? We picked up a bunch of raw meat. And the raw meat can go, I guess, in this corner. Well, for starters, take the charcoal. We don't want to start the fire. What we want to do is pre-place all of our meat. Pre-place. 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 You see now that... Now this cooking pot's in the way. Thank you. And we had more meat, right? Yeah. I want to put this in the cooking pot. I guess it won't let you without the fire going. Okay, which means we can drop for now. And 34 out of 40. Ah, we probably have a bunch of pelt and gut to drop. Yes. Yes, we do. Drop all these sticks. Except for some. Because you never know when you'll get caught out. Yeah, 30 carry weight, that's a pretty big buffer for us. And let's pick up our hatchet. Alright. It is... We have half sleep. And it is... not quite dusk. Let's sleep for 2. I think 2 is a good number. And listen for the wind. Do we get lucky? No. Sleep for 1 more. Because really, as long as we can sleep, there's no downside. We were going out into the night anyway. And the less blizzard you can go out in, the better. Okay, are we sounding lucky? Delicious water. Nope, I'm still hearing that wind. Come on now. Doesn't the wind have anything better to do? Alright, one day. Not tired enough. Well, unfortunately, it's kind of dark. Dusting sulfur, which means somewhere around here ought to be kind of... I'm regretting dropping that that lantern. Okay, let's think. Where is that other lantern? It is by the stove and to the right. So forward, and the stove should be here. Let's... Okay, here's the wolf meat. Turn right. Should be somewhere... Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Perfect. I'm too good at this game. Too good at the game. Oops. Just stumbling around in the dark, remembering where things are. Saw the dusting sulfur, didn't see the lantern. Oh well. Okay. And the door was right there, of course. Oops. Oh, this is a cute little... Oh, that was weird. Okay. Actually, cloth. What have we got? Can opener, don't need it. Okay, and that is actually a full, proper blizzard. Sort of like this spot right here. And we do have a little bit of outdoor storage. Let's put the food in the outdoor storage. It should spoil slower. Especially the uncooked stuff. Probably safe to put rancid venison that's uncooked in with some cooked meat, right? There's no such thing as cross-contamination. I choose to believe that. Okay, just put everything in there. And the fish. Alright. Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to wait this out. Okay, and I think right in front and below is where our bedroll is. Okay, no, too far to the right, bedroll, or to the left, bedroll to the right. Okay, so I guess we could sleep. So if we can't, if the blizzard doesn't go away now, we'll have to just start burning time by waiting. Yep, playing cards in the pitch dark. Playing cards in the pitch dark. Up. Ending early because I did hear. There's the bedroll. Where's the door? Table, newsprint. Door to the right, door to the left, shelf. There we go. No. Fridge. Where was the fridge? I don't remember where the fridge was. Maybe this way? Curtain? Cooking pot? The cooking pot means facing the stove, back up, walk right, walk forward. Basement. I think I can work with the basement. Nope. Alright, we're burning oil. Where the heck did I go? What is this floor plan? Okay. What the heck? Somehow we... Is there another cooking pot? No, there can't be. Somehow we went from over here. The fridge... Saw the fridge, didn't see the door. Ended up over here? I have no idea how that happened. Okay, don't question it. Don't question it. Alright. Let's just keep that with us in case we need to fumble around in the dark again. Okay. By our orientations, this is the way to our wolves. Now, those things have been out for 2 blizzards now. I'm hoping they're still there. And visibility is not great. Probably shouldn't have gone out with so little water, but it should be fine because we can just head right back. Head right back when we're done here. All right, moving. All right, come on now. If I was to listen closely, would I hear an awoo? I think this is the right way we want to go. So we've still got 3 wolves to harvest, which is a lot of wolf. It's at least probably 10 kilos of meat, 1.5 kilos of pelt, and then a comparatively negligible amount of guts. As long as we can find that clearing where they were, which should be this way, because I think that is where our rifle was found, which means, yeah, there they are. I see a tiny little black pixel in the snow. Yeah, here's wolf number 1. Now, where is wolf number 2 and 3? There they are. Okay, I was worried that they despawned. Let's start with the far guys. Yeah, hoo. There should be somewhere in the vicinity here. So I'm not really missing a charcoal to pop. Okay. Frozen carcass. Yeah, that is some damaged meat. You know, I should have checked to see if our clothing was wet, because it looks like we're really risking some chill here. Clothing,
So
it
cold.
is still wet. Okay, you know what?
Just want to lay down for a bit.
Visibility is getting a little bit better. I'm hoping it doesn't get windy. Let's start a fire. You know what? Might have to use that charcoal here. Oh no, that's actually quite windy. Let's see.
Come on.
Instead, let's stick it. Okay, so we will warm up while we harvest this guy. We can find his hitbox. Okay, so warm up until the fire goes out, and then we'll cool down again. I'm surprised the fire lasted as long as it did, actually. Okay.
Too heavy.
And weight-wise, we're just a little bit over. I think we get the birch saplings. Some sapalicious deliciousness. And then we take the stuff we dropped on the ground. We harvest the other wolf tomorrow morning. That's probably the strat. Goodness, such a luscious birch grove. And it's all mine. Every last little youngling. Practically Anakin Skywalker over here. Okay. Well, that's good. And I think we have... Let's see, am I feeling spicy? How's the wetness? You know, the wetness isn't that bad. I think I'm feeling spicy enough to harvest this third wolf. Or maybe just the meat and the pelt. Because for some reason the guts take forever to get. So I think we harvest the third wolf, leave the guts, because we've got enough, honestly. Between what's curing and the uses we might have for it. It's probably even overkill to get the hide. But it's definitely overkill to get the guts. Oh, and look at that. This is looking like some amazing visibility. Oh, yeah.
Damn. I'm freezing.
Oh, yeah. Just a little bit chilly. Okay. Just a tad bit chilly, but we should be able to get back in plenty of time. Yeah, it would be, we'd be in kind of a bad situation if we didn't have... You know what? I forgot to pick up that stuff, didn't I? Do we have a rifle? We don't, so I did forget to pick up the stuff. Every time, man. Every time. I've got half a mind to do something and just... The second the tiniest little thought floats through my head, immediately forget. Okay. I'm sure I looked at it too. My brain just probably lumped it in with the fire here, and so I thought, oh, I don't need that.
Carry this load for much longer.
Okay, we're kind of slow. I think we're still okay. Whatever damage we take getting back to the house is nothing a little nap can't fix. Maybe a big nap. But not too long of a nap. Because that would imply death. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that we went full extinction mode on these wolves over here. First I only saw the one, but apparently there were 4 others in the pack. I did not know that black wolf packs would stack so deep. I thought it was only timber wolves that did that. Alright, hoppity hop hop hop. And can we go up, please? And yes. Yeah, and here's the very spooky "something is chasing you" music. Yeah, look at this. Walking through the blizzard, it seems so much farther than just this distance. Well, actually, let's count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6 rows of these trees in the field here before you hit the buildings and the silo. Okay. Let's pack that tiny piece of information in the back of our mind, because you never know. It could save me from deciding that I've not walked far enough, or that I've walked too far, and turning around and going in the complete wrong direction. It wouldn't be the first time, but hopefully it won't happen here. Now that we have become enlightened to the 6th layer, the number of layers that a tree must be in an orchard. Alright, if I could just be one of these birds that keeps tweeting in the distance, I would be so happy. Imagine just having to dig through some snow to find some grain to eat, not having to worry about all these wolves and getting hunted. Truly, that would be the life. Is it pitch black inside?
I can barely walk with this much gear.
Close enough. Luckily, we have the lantern. And these lanterns have actually been... I always forget that this is already basically in the kitchen. These lanterns have been seriously clutch in all this exploring up here. Because there's so many places that are just dark as hell. Okay. Let's eat some food, drink some water. Slurpity slurp slurp slurp. That's a lot of meat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 kilos. And delicious dog food. Although this is food for the wrong kind of animal. As you can tell, I'm not a dog. Okay, that's fine. And we should be fine sleeping through till the morning. Let's see, how do we want to deal with this? Let's start with 3 hours, see how bright it gets. It might still be a little bit dark. And it is still a little bit dark. So 2 more, definitely going to be light when we wake up, and we can start cooking. All right, looking good. Let's put our torch back in meal. All right, and pick up some of these sticks and some of these books.
All this gear is slowing me down.
Okay, stove, start fire. Kind of want to get a little bit spicy with this. Let's check the weather outside. Because if it's sunny, and it's not sunny. I would have liked to start the fire with the magnifying glass and then transfer it inside of the torch, but you can't always have nice weather. Okay, let's just use the tinder plug to get it out of the way. It's not necessary. Doesn't really help anything. But it's also kind of a pain to drop from the inventory. Okay, cooking pot. I know we have juicy amounts of water already, but let's juice it a little bit more. Just so we never have to worry about water again. Okay, so these guys are cooking. These are yet to cook. Ooh, hiccup. Water-wise, we're okay. Oh. Let's get that uncooked venison from outside that I had forgotten about. Okay. Because that can get cooked. Alright. And let's place some more delicious protein.
It's starting to weigh me down.
And let's see, are we feeling cheeky enough to read that book? I don't think so. So let's just rhythm game this. What? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I forgot to put more... forgot to put more shrimps on the Barbie. Or in the Barbie. Oh, that's a waste. Okay, let's not forget that this time. All the books. Probably most of... we'll see if that's necessary. Okay. Now we play our rhythm game. That wasn't boiled yet, was it? It was not. Cook. Okay, 4 minutes on you guys. Let's get our venison down, actually. Cooking pot. And in the cooking pot, we can put some meat. Make it cook faster. Hot water. There we go. 6 minutes. And you already cooked. That was fast. Probably only a little bit of meat. No, I guess not. Well, I guess this is 0.151. Okay. Last resort sardine. And who's shortest? You're shortest because you finished already. Okay, 40, 26, you're gonna finish first. Okay, you, and let us begin maximum protein cooking. Did not mean to pick that up. Did not mean to pick that up. Oh, what a waste. Okay. Simultaneously a rhythm game and whack-a-mole. 6 minutes on you, no minutes on you. How is our fire going? 1 hour 40. Okay, so it's at least 2 more rotations. Love to cook things in a nice cast iron pot. Absolutely fantastic. 20 on you, you're fastest. Oh, you guys already went so fast. And here's our venison. That gross, nasty, rancid venison is suddenly going to become delicious. 16 on you, 5 on you, and an hour on you. All right, 15, you know what, 43 minutes. It kind of feels like a waste. Water, I think we can squeak. No, it'd probably be pushing it to get 1 liter out of it. Because the stove doesn't do embers, it just goes straight to...
almost anything about now.
The stove goes straight to out, no embers, so no residual cooking. Okay. Water-wise, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got at least 10 liters of water here. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Actually, while those things are cooking, let's just take a nice full inventory.
I can't carry this any further.
Oh, but you will. Okay, that is a lot of stuff. 13 of water, so basically you have 10 free. Okay, drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20. So you've got basically 20 pushing it, 25 kilos of meat here. Okay, you're still 20 minutes. I can definitely sneak in at least a half liter. Oh yeah, easy. Now, not all of the food is going to fit outside. Let's say raw stuff goes outside, cooked stuff goes inside. Okay, let's see how much we got here. All right, 4 kilos. That's not a bad amount. Let's think. And what else is weighing us down right now? Okay, certainly the rifle. Yeah, so first off, we got all these guts and pelts and saplings. Second off, we've got that rifle. And I think a tool set. So let us toss the rifle in here. R is for rifle. 1 bullet in the rifle, huh? And what other tools can we ditch? Don't need the quality tools. Don't need the recycled can. What else is droppable? You've returned, Untitled. We're continuing our quest to explore the Canadian wilderness. And in this region, we've basically done a counterclockwise around the outside until we got stuck here in Signal Hill in a blizzard and had to take a little detour to find some food. But other than that, we're just chilling. Boil dry, water, water, water. And let's not forget the charcoal, because basically what I'm trying to do right now is just light up all this part of the map. Everything that's dark here. Which means first a circuit and then going through the middle. Water. And currently what I'm doing is basically setting up a little bit of a way station. Other than that... Okay, stove. And what I want from this is the charcoal. But yeah, it's late on a Friday night over here. Yeah, based on what you said about pulling burning the midnight oil on a shift, I suspected that there was a pretty substantial difference in time zone. Okay, when are these embers going to go out? Sometimes you want them to stick around, sometimes you don't. But based on this being late for me, I'm guessing that means it's early for you. Now, whether that's early Saturday or early Friday, I'm not entirely sure how the... There we go, charcoal. Not entirely sure how the time zones work. Either way, if you, if you've got daily preparations to get taken care of, hope those go well. Well, what can we drop? First, we've got all these sticks. Okay, so it's not that different, but you are earlier than me. Let's see, drop most of the sticks. Having 1 or 2 sticks could save your life, though. So I don't want to drop all of those. What is so heavy? Or I guess the better question is... okay. Okay, what have we got here? We don't need you. We don't need you. Basically, I dropped a bunch of stuff over in the Signal Hill. I want to go pick that up. Well, do I want to pick that up or do I want to loop around and do more surveying to the south? I'm not sure. But I guess the one question that I can ask is, how was your week? Because mine was pretty interesting. Normally I have 1 cat. I have recently, in the past few months, acquired a cat from outside. But I'm also currently taking care of another cat that has recently been discovered to have the beatus. So that's been exciting. Trying to go back and forth between the vet and giving injections and having its little blood glucose monitor get licked off. Hopefully that problem was solved. But it's the first time I've had... Yeah, it's the first time I've had a kind of medical situation with an animal, and it's been a struggle because he's licked his blood glucose meter off twice, so that's 2 trips back to the vet. Okay, 32 kilograms out of 40. We can drop this because it's really just firewood. Let us think. If I was a thinking man, I'd also be dropping some of this cured leather. Yeah, so the vet said it isn't impossible for cats to go into remission with diabetes, and it sounds like we caught it early enough. But really it's just kind of a waiting game and seeing if the insulin shots can kind of get him back to normal, and then maybe a modified diet will help keep the levels even. Let's see. But currently, because earlier this morning I had to put the 5-finger on him, because he licked his little monitor off, put the 5-finger on him, grab him, drag him out from under the bed, cram him in the crate, bring him to the vet. He's currently hiding under the bed. Oh man, rain with a double rainbow? So here's the question though. Here's the question that I have to ask. Because it's not really a double rainbow if this isn't true. Was it all across the sky? Because I've been told on good authority that double rainbow goes all across the sky. Yeah, he hates the vet. Hopefully because I'm still feeding him canned tuna, he doesn't hate me for long. I feel like this is probably light enough. I think maybe a little bit more food, just because it is never a fun time to get stuck out with no food. Let's see, what time of day is it? It is noon. We can probably get back to the Signal Hill by nightfall, which should be just up there. Okay, so let's head down. Eventually I have to check that. Don't want to take the time now. Well, I mean, as long as you have at least 50%. My degree said that 50% rounds up. So if you got 50%, I can certify it for you. All right, and this little barn here, I think we want to travel light. So let's ignore the barn. Just put a pin in that and remember that if we really do need to search for some stuff, we can look in there. No, it's not for weather. It's being able to round things. It's specifically only whether or not you can round something between 0.5 and 1 up to 1. All right, we got rabbits. Hopefully rabbits mean we're safe. Now there are going to eventually be some wolves somewhere in this direction. Actually, I did not mean to drop that. This is probably a good place for charcoal. Sketchy sketch sketch. All right. Not as good as I was hoping, but not bad. But no, the degree isn't weather. It's called physics. So in a sense, if you wanted to model things, you could model the weather. It's just you'd probably need as much compute power as is currently devoted to all of the AI data centers. Okay, yeah, all these hills are not going to be great for our climbing prospects. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, some people take to it better, but it's definitely something that can be learned. It's really a matter of, do you spend the time it takes to get there's sort of like an aha moment where things start to click. And that was probably a waste of our charcoal. Yeah, so the thing is, I'm about to go on a complete tangent, and I'll probably be too distracted to notice. So let's just say you brought this upon yourself. So physics is, and hold on, let me just make sure there's not a bear in here, because I think these skeletons mean that this is a bear cave. Okay, so in physics, and this is like base physics, normally, once you start dealing with situations, so let me back up again. Physics can tell you about atoms, it can tell you about tiny molecules. Once you start getting to too many atoms, then you're talking about chemistry. And once you're talking about bigger atoms and even too many molecules, you're starting to talk about biology. And you kind of go up and up and up. If you're talking about things that aren't alive, things get bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually you're talking about sort of the climate science aspect of things. And normally you would think that, hey, you've got I'm kind of worried about breaking an ankle here. You say, hey, the atmosphere is just made up of a bunch of molecules. So you know how molecules move. Why don't you just model how the molecules move? Well, the problem is that the number of molecules to deal with is ridiculous. Have you ever heard of a mole? And I don't mean a mole as in the skinless, blind, subterranean mammal. I mean a mole as in the number. It's a charcoal up here. This looks like a good charcoal spot. A mole is a historically generated number, and it is the number of... Oh, there's a cat. So I keep getting distracted. I hear the scrabbling of the diabetes cat somewhere behind me in the dark. So he has moved away from his under the bed hiding spot. And perhaps that means he's hungry. We'll find out if he starts meowing. But a mole, this is more of a chemistry thing. If I remember correctly, a mole is the number of atoms it takes to have a particular kind of atom have the same number of grams as its atomic number, I think. So it's how does it go? It's like carbon is what, 7 protons? I think carbon, it's either 7 or 14. It might be number 14. Carbon might be, let me think, hold on. How does valence go? We have 2 in the S, and then we've got 4, no, carbon is I think 6 protons. So if you have this many carbon atoms, you have a well-defined number of specifically grams of that material. And each atom is extremely small. For example, I believe a single proton has a mass of 10 to the minus 19 or 17. It's probably, I think it's 10 to the minus 19 kilograms. And so you need a lot of these things. Actually, it might be kilograms, not grams. But basically, a mole is about 6 times 10 to the 23. So it's 6 with 23 zeros behind it. And that many atoms can fill, I guess depending on the temperature and the pressure, it can probably fill like a very small space. And surely you can imagine that the atmosphere is a very large space. So this was an extremely roundabout way of saying that if you were to model all of the atoms in the atmosphere, because in principle you can, we have the theory that tells you exactly how all of the atoms interact. And for very small scales and small numbers of atoms, we can pretty well actually simulate exactly how they interact. But with that many, you can certainly imagine how quickly the complexity of the calculation ends up going. Because, for example, if you want to imagine 2 atoms or molecules bumping into each other, you need to keep track of exactly where those molecules are at all times and know the distance between them. If you add a third so that's one relationship that you need to keep track of. If you add in a third molecule, not only do you need to keep track of the first molecule to the third molecule, you also need to keep track of the second molecule to the third molecule. And so now, instead of having, going from 1 connection to 2 connections, now you have 3 connections. If you add a fourth molecule, it's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 6. So it's 1, 3, 6, and then the next is probably 10. And it basically just, that's the problem. Because if the distance is close enough, you have to simulate them bouncing off of each other. So you need to know, do they get close enough to bounce off of each other? And so you can imagine that if you have, let's start with just a mole of these atoms, you'd have gigantic amount of numbers to keep track of. So let's say we just have, let's simplify it. Let's say we have a mole of connections. Now, the number of atoms that you can keep track of with a mole of connections is much fewer than a mole. It's probably like, let's say it's probably 1,000 times smaller. I suspect might even much smaller than that. But let's suppose it's 1,000 times smaller. So we have 10 to the 20 atoms, which is probably, you probably breathe more than that every time you inhale and exhale. So a mole of connections, so that's a mole of distance numbers that we have to keep track of. And I think this is the last place I put anything. I guess we can keep a little bit here for an emergency stash. Okay, so a mole of numbers. Let's talk about how we simulate things. Because it's not the 1940s anymore, and we don't have people... What was that noise? Was that a creaking or was that a bear? I think that was a creaking. Because we don't have people doing things by hand anymore, we store numbers in... Here we go. We store numbers in computers. And we need a certain number of bits to store each number that is in a computer. For example, if you want, and the more bits you can use, the more accuracy you can store numbers with. This is another problem. Let's just say we go with the default 8 bits of numbers. So that's like, so 8 zeros or ones to store a number. And we can map how many bits are we going to need to know exactly, or to store 1 mole of these distances we're talking about. So once we figure that out, how many bits we need, we can compare that to, say, the storage on a typical computer. So 8 bits is 1 byte. And byte is typically the measurement unit that hard drives are measured in. So let's say we have 1 byte is 1 number. It's actually a lot more than that usually. We usually have 32-bit. Let's go 32-bit. So we have 4 byte numbers. So what's that scrabbling? Oh, it's a cat. So we have 4 bytes for 1 number. And we have 1 mole of these numbers that we need to store. So we have 4 times 6 times 10 to the 22 number, or bytes, that we need to store. 1, I guess we can just multiply it out. That's 2.4 times 10 to the 24 bytes. Okay, now hold on. Now we need to not back up, but I need to pause here because I need to think about the prefixes here. So 1 byte is 1 byte. Surely you've heard kilobit, megabit, megabyte, gigabyte. Typically, hard drives are measured in gigabytes. And these prefixes, they come from metric. And every time you change your prefix, you go up by a factor of 1,000. So I'm sure this is, you know this, you've just sort of absorbed it from osmosis. A kilobyte is 1,000 bytes. A megabyte is 1,000 kilobytes, which is 1,000 bytes. So a megabyte is 1 million bytes. So a kilobyte is 1 times 10 to the 3. So 1 times 3 tens. A megabyte is 10 to the 6, so 1 times 6 tens. A gigabyte is 9 tens. A terabyte is 12 tens. I guess petabyte is next, is 15 tens. A yottabyte, I think, is next, is 18 tens. An exabyte is 21 tens. And I don't even remember the prefix for what comes after exabyte. And notice, the thing that comes after exabyte is the thing with the number of tens that we need to store 1 mole of distances. I don't even think I think the amount of storage that currently exists, like in total, it's either under an exabyte. Yeah, I think it's some number of yottabytes. I don't think it's even an exabyte. So we are about 1 million times, there's about 1 million times too little storage in the entire world to even describe the distances, to even describe a mole of distances. So it just cannot be done. And that's just the number of air molecules, let's say, in one breath. Oh, I hear you, punk. I knew you were here. I didn't know you were so close. Kind of, are you just going to let us walk away? If he's just going to let us walk away, I'm taking it. Which is a really long way to say that it is, with the current amount of things that exists, it is literally impossible to simulate every single atom in the atmosphere. So usually what people do, yeah, it's because so in principle, you could just sort of invent the data to calculate it. It would probably be close enough and it would work. But the storage just does not exist. So the numbers cannot be stored to do the necessary calculations on them. I kind of want to take care of this guy. Ooh, yeah, because look at all these good saplings. Well, I think he just actually walked away. Yeah, I think for whatever reason he doesn't care about it anymore. So let's not look a gift wolf in the mouth. Okay, so that's part one. Part one is you can't do it exactly. It's impossible. It can't be done. And in addition, forget the amount of storage it would take. the amount of time it would take and the amount of computation to simply do the calculations would be just obscene. It would be absolutely ridiculous. So it just cannot be done that way. So what people usually do to overcome this situation, because at the end of the day, we don't really need perfect predictions. We only need them to be qualitatively close enough for what we are going to use them for. Can you not? So what people usually do to get over this is they will accept some amount of error. Yeah, so the question is then how do they predict the weather, right? And that's what I'm about to get to. So basically what they do is they'll coarse grain. They won't say, what does this single atom do? They'll say, we know that in this, let's say, 1 foot by 1 foot cube of just air, there's going to be a metric buttload of, and I'm distracted and I'm not doing any surveying here. Okay, I suppose that's fine. Let's just walk around and see if we lose this guy. But what you'll basically do is you'll say, okay, if I take a little cube in the air, like an invisible cube, I can kind of have a pretty good idea of what is in there, and generally I can kind of mostly, for the most part, know what's going on in that cube of air. If it's just kind of like in the middle of the room, maybe there's a tiny little bit of a breeze, so maybe there's a little bit of a drift of all the atoms. I can get a pretty good idea of how this one cube will interact with the cube next to it, but I won't be able to get all of the details. So after, some amount of time, maybe eventually my cube... No, don't worry about it. I mean, what else would I be doing, right? So eventually, after some amount of time, maybe your little cube will make a wrong prediction about a tiny little gust of wind in the room. It's possible that will be a sufficiently long time that, you don't care about what happens in your room next year. You care about what happens in your room in the next 5 minutes. And maybe that amount of drift in the prediction from reality is okay. So what they'll do is they will just get bigger and bigger cubes until it's possible to simulate a large enough space that we can get useful weather predictions out of it. Because I'm sure you can imagine if there's like a foot by foot cube, so let's say 1 mile is 5,000 feet. So a square mile is a cube of 5,000 feet by 5,000 feet by 5,000 feet. 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125. Each one has 3 zeros out behind it. So 1 square mile, yeah, exactly. That's the idea. So how do you get it to be that you can get mostly correct predictions, but also not have to pay an arm and a leg for it? Don't call for any friends. Are you calling any friends? Okay. No, he's turning around to hunt a deer. Let's third party this. Okay, but back to it. So 1 mile square contains about 125, wait, 1,000? 100, I thought this guy went somewhere else. 1 mile square contains about 125 billion square feet, or sorry, not square feet, cubed feet. So 1 foot by 1 foot by a 1 foot cube is probably still too fine a measure. So what you'll really just do is you'll just increase the size of this cube that you simulate until it's big enough that you can do the calculation. But the downside there is the bigger the cube, the less accurate and the more drift you'll have in your predictions. Have you ever looked at a... Okay, you're hunting a rabbit. I'll wait until you get him. Unless... Okay, he was getting a little bit too close for comfort. But basically, the current point of, I guess, weather calculation is that they can handle cubes to the granularity that there's not really any point in going past 10 days of prediction. So I don't know if you've looked into into weather, sort of a weather prediction site like, weather.com or weather.gov, I guess. And that's a deer noise. But the predictions usually don't go past 10 days. And that's because their simulations the accuracy really degrades after that point. Yeah, but if you ever do, usually the simulation doesn't go past 10 days. Okay, and I didn't realize we were getting dehydrated. Drink here. Okay. But also, yeah, so for example, I mean, so that might be for a user interaction standpoint, because it's, it's convenient and, what's the word I'm looking for? And it's clean and to have just one week in the user interface. But you did say something interesting about, can't you just have more simulations? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. Why do I hear are those hooves? Yes, those are hooves. Now, this isn't a problem for you over in Arizona, but for those of us on the East Coast, and oh, there's an arrow here that I would have missed. For those on the East Coast, sometimes there may or may not be hurricanes. And if you've ever seen the news getting reported on like a particularly large hurricane, they'll have that, that cone, the like storm tracking cone. They'll say, oh, like, there's a good chance that it goes west or it might peel off to the east. And the way they figure out, or the way they generate that cone is they'll actually have multiple different simulations that have slightly different parameters. Because remember, the farther out you go, the more error you will get, even if your parameters were perfect to begin with. But your parameters also aren't going to be perfect to begin with. So what you do is you try a bunch of different parameters, and then you see how the different ones drift. And the idea is that on the whole, there are larger forces generally that are pushing your simulation towards kind of the right thing. I mean, so in a sense, yeah. So what they really do is they will take the output of every single one of them, and they will they'll kind of say, well, there's most of the simulations ended up in this one kind of corridor, and that corridor they'll consider to be a high probability of being the direction the hurricane takes. So usually there'll be like one or two outliers like flying off somewhere, but for the most part, and sometimes some news channels will actually show all the different simulations they ran. For the most part, usually what will happen is most or a sizable fraction of the simulations will follow similar but not identical trajectories. And that's where they'll put the cone. Okay, it should be light enough to charcoal. Yeah, this is kind of a weird surveying little... I didn't even realize... I thought we were somewhere over here. Okay, we might have to spend the night in the radio station up here, which should be fine with all this meat. But yeah, basically that's the two main things that allow us to currently simulate and make weather predictions. It's the coarse graining of the space, basically drawing a whole bunch of different cubes and simulating each cube kind of in a gross manner, and also doing a bunch of different simulations. For example, I believe if you've ever looked at a forecast and it says, oh, there's like a 23, well, this is probably unrealistic for you in Arizona, but let's suppose there is the ungodly high probability of a 23% chance of rain. The way they get that is, I think they run a whole bunch of different simulations, and they ask, in how many of these simulations did it rain in this region? Now, don't quote me on that particular one, because that's just my speculation. The other thing, like with the hurricanes, I've actually looked into that a little bit. But I believe that's also how they get the rainfall probability. Actually, let me back that up. It's probably a combination of two things. It's probably a combination of several different simulations making predictions for rain, and also historical conditions. They may use sort of historical conditions for, with this humidity and this change in temperature, how often did it rain before? That may be used to modify those chances. So for the rain probability, that's my speculation, which is all to say there is an extremely obscene amount of math and science and modeling that goes into weather science and weather prediction. But I would consider most of it to be kind of beyond simple pure physics. I would say atmospheric physics is probably, it's physics, but it's not the kind of pure stuff that people typically think of. And especially since what I looked into was condensed matter, which isn't even, it's not even the atmosphere, it's solids, as in condensed. So it's like not fluid, solids. And that can get rather complicated. But at the level that I was looking at, it was more on the just above the atom by atom level. Very small. Okay, how are we on food? Actually, halfway decent on food. I think we're low on... Yeah, we barely have any firewood. There is a little bit here. But do I want to use everything that's here? Didn't mean to drop all. Okay, you know what? I initially intended to take everything from this place, but I think we might end up making a little bit of a food stash over here. Let us make the decision. Yeah, okay. So let's drop all the uncooked food and everything we don't want here, and get a little bit of firewood to cook with. Are we low on... How many charcoals do we have? Yeah, we're a little bit low on charcoals. And the only way to get more charcoal is either make them by burning a fire for an hour at a time, or find them in pre-burned fires. But those are... You have to find somewhere that already has had fire, and there's usually only one or two. Okay, but let's just find a couple of sticks, or maybe a limb. I know there was a limb that we walked past just now. But yeah, when dealing with either large-scale or small-scale simulation, things can get really crazy. Because with large-scale, you have to, like with the weather stuff, you don't have to get things perfect, but you do have to have a really good abstraction that doesn't get things wrong too fast. Well, I mean, Richard Feynman said that if you can't understand it or if you can't explain it so that anyone can understand it, you don't really understand it yourself. But maybe that's just because my off-the-cuff speaking abilities have a little bit too many detours to have a nice little clear throughput in the story. Yeah, I mean, that's, to be honest, that's about as much as I would be comfortable saying that I understand as well. Because I'm definitely just a novice when it comes to pretty much everything that I was explaining on the weather prediction side. Okay, I love these little sticks I can break apart by hand. Yeah, I mean, school learning is its own kind of thing, and in my opinion, one of the biggest things, one of the most important determining factors into whether or not you are quote-unquote good at school learning is really how good the teachers and professors are. Because if they're not engaging at all, honestly, it's useless to even bother. At that point, you might as well be learning it yourself. Where did you come from? Who barks? You bark. Okay, well, I guess we'll just try to lead you back to the place and have more food. But yeah, let's just... I am no stranger to the oof and more thinking. Oof.
Feels like something is
Let's
sapping my
see.
energy.
Okay, I think we should be able to get up there because he's not closing the distance too quickly. Yeah, you mean on the teacher side or what? Because I mean, I can understand if you're in like, let's say a high school, for example. You know, some of the kids really just aren't engaged, and from a teaching standpoint, yeah, from a teaching standpoint, it's kind of hard to sort of motivate yourself, but at the same time, you sort of have to give the kids the fair shake they deserve. Because I mean, kids are going to be kids, right? I'm sure, you know, at the time, I didn't feel that way. I'm sure you didn't feel that way, but even from the, I guess, what, 7 years on from high school, you've just got to kind of have that, or you just kind of get that perspective. Let's see. Because, you know, some of the teachers have been doing it for 20, 30 years. And, you know, they must be burned out too, just kind of waiting for the pension to accrue so they can retire. I was lucky to, the schools that I went to had some pretty engaged teachers still.
Can't feel my feet.
All right, I think this is about the spot that we can force this fight. All right, where are you? Come over here. Come on, punk. That's right, come on. Pop. All right. Freaking demon eyes. Okay, did we break another arrow? No, that was... It's almost broken, but it's not quite broken. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to risk the hypothermia because we are about to make a fire and get all that warmth back. And to be completely honest, eventually, no matter what you do, well, I guess there are probably some things that you do that this isn't the case. Yeah, it's kind of a... Well, I mean, there is a degree to where, with respect to the jock versus the nerd, I'll have you know, my freshman year of high school, I did do one season of football. Although I never actually played in a game, and wearing the helmet gave me migraines. But I was there, man. I'm one of you. Let's see, what was I saying? Yeah, it's like, to be honest, you kind of need to be able to understand how to meet the kids where they are. Especially if you've been teaching for so long. You kind of should be able to use that time to yeah, so after that I was more of a running track in the winter, and I did hashtag East Coast. I did lacrosse in the summer. So I'm definitely no stranger to the, I would rather be running around in, you know, sub 32 degree weather than studying this thing right now. But yeah, at least with the school I went to, the teachers were able to make things, you know, just challenging enough to scratch that itch. For example, my physics teacher in high school would sometimes, so you know how the school science rooms would sometimes sort of share between the chemistry and the bio and the physics classes would all be in the same room. So the rooms would have those like, I guess, lab benches in the back, so you could do the labs there. And those lab benches had little spots where you could put up this long, it must have been a 3 or 3.5 foot metal pole. Yeah, so if you had a proper lab room, you would have seen these. So you'd have like this metal pole that you could stick in the table, that you could like hang things off of. You could have a it's like a kind of a lab bench situation, and you could put like a Bunsen burner under. You could clamp a flask to this thing. But this physics teacher, he would take these huge metal poles and hold them, like slap them in his hand like it was a like a baton, and say, if you guys don't pay attention, I'm about to, make some marks with this rod here. And he'd threaten us with it. And it would be in jest and all in good fun, but it would certainly direct the focus. Yeah, so that is a lot of sports to do. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, and this is the lore. I don't know if any of this is true. But word on the street is that coming up, he was initially a bodybuilder. I don't know how he got into teaching physics, but it happened. But by the time, I came around to be his student, he must have been in his late 40s or early 50s. And his bodybuilder physique turned more like a bowling ball situation. So it was pretty funny. Pretty funny. Yeah, as far as track, basketball, volleyball, football, swim, and tried golf. In elementary school, I did basketball, but because I couldn't shoot very well, I stopped. And this was before people told me that it's okay to play basketball. You don't need to know how to. You don't need to know how to shoot if you can just be tall. And no one told me this before I quit. So I didn't continue with basketball. Okay. Getting work done on this cook fire.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
But yeah, he was a funny dude. And he was as New York as they come. Dude named it's like, what was the name? It was something extremely Italian. Yeah, you see, people never told me that even a short king like you could play basketball if you're a center. No, I'm just joking. Just joking. But yeah, I did not have the hand-eye coordination for it.
I'm getting weaker.
Well, I tell people 6'5" when I don't slouch, but when I do slouch, it's more like a 6'4". Okay, let's cook all of this meat. Yeah, I'm sorry if that hit a little bit too close to home. But it's okay. I'm sure my yeah, I never did enough squats to get that kind of airtime, unfortunately. I think I could barely touch the rim. Maybe get the first one or two knuckles on it. But a proper dunk, I never could get my hand high enough for it. Let's see. I guess we can just burn nightlight here. Because we do have a decent amount to still cook. Well, I mean, I like to tell myself it's because I never trained. Although in track and field, I did try high jump a couple of times, but I could never get the form down. Uh-oh. Aurora, that means there's bath salts wolves afoot. Burned and burned. Hey, listen. This is self-therapy for my mental well-being, and I'll have you know that it would be very unkind of you to break that belief. Actually, let's check inside and see if there are any interesting buffer memories, if there are any, wow. That noise, that background noise is very loud. Okay, do we have... Really? Aha, there is a buffer memory. Okay. Let's let it come together. After a long shift, these notes start to feel more and more like a confessional. Well, I guess that makes me a priest. You can call me daddy. I mean father. Tough for the weather service ends up replacing me with... Wait, tough for whoever the weather service ends up replacing me with up here. You'll have to read through these things. I think it's optional. I'm pretty sure it's optional. Then again, I'm starting to mumble and sing to myself while I work. They say whistling while you work is good, or at least Seven Dwarfs said that. Glenn Gould. Glenn Gould must be a Canadian reference. It's too northern for me. It's probably better to write some of it down. Aha. And that was Sarah Easton. Easton Journal 19.docx. Well, 19 journals isn't too much. Okay, and I think this buffer memory should be saved. Now, I'm not such a completionist that I'm going to run around and find all of these active computers and log all of the buffer memories. But if there is one that I can grab easily, I'll grab it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, because there's this guy. No, the dialogue said, "Call me Papa." Where is it? Here. Yeah, these buffer memories. 71 buffer memories. No way in hell I'm going to track all those down. I just got to keep you on your toes. Okay, cooking and cooking. Just a little bit more to cook. And actually, with the extra time, can we cook some water? Because up here we don't... Ooh, hiccup. We don't really have water. Okay, nothing to cook water with. So this might actually end up being a temporary... This might end up being more of a temporary situation. Yeah, I know, right? But they must exist. They absolutely must exist. Although, it's probably also a lot more manageable if you do it with a guide. Someone must have made like a web version of this map with everything that you would need marked on it. I'm sure if I googled it, I'd find it. But actually, let's eat the sardines, because to fight the salt, sometimes consonants get away from me. Sometimes, despite the saltiness of a sardine, it has got juice you can drink. Okay. Well, we are slowly dying of, Oh, I'm stupid. I can eat this can of condensed milk. But I'm not hungry enough to eat it anymore. Aha. If I had eaten the can of the condensed milk, we would have a can that we would be able to boil water in. Ripped my planning. Yeah, but what I was saying is, I bet there's like someone who's made a guide this is the shortest possible route to get all of the buffer memories, or the shortest possible route to find... What is this? I always click on the wrong thing. To find all of the cairns, or to find, all of the locations, all of the mementos. Okay, let's speed this guy up, and then we can't actually do anything else with the rest of this burn time. Which is a real shame. Because 55 minutes, that's not bad. Okay, instead, we're going to sleep until like 3 p.m.
Too heavy.
Actually, water's not the hardest thing to find. 6, let's leave 6 meats here. And take a quick little nap. This is definitely the kind of game that will attract a very dedicated cult following. Because if you have the itch that this game will scratch, it's just about one of the only ways to scratch it. Okay, let's actually finish this condensed milk. And then let's... Yeah, we're kind of getting low on water now. Okay. But what do we have? Do we have all of the... Yeah, we have all the stuff we want to snag from here. Which is all to say that there is definitely a dedicated community. Yeah, Hades 2. Hades 2, is that by Supergiant Games? The same guys who did Bastion and... Was it Transistor? I think it might be. I think I might have played part of Hades 1 and then put it down. Because I didn't quite understand the gameplay loop. Okay, let's see. Is it... Yeah, so
drop something.
Their first game... And I'm probably about to date myself here. I think their first game was a game called Bastion. Beautiful art style, beautiful aesthetic. It's not that I didn't understand the story, it's just that it seemed a little bit too much like a visual novel for me at the time. So because if I remember, it was something like the gameplay was you'd have your talking in your little caravan, and then you would play one of those, one of those ball games, and then you would talk for a while, make a decision, ball game. Talk for a while, make a decision, ball game. And at the time, it was interesting premise, interesting situation, and it was kind of leading to something that I could see, but I don't think I got in quite enough to get hooked. Where was I going? Right down here. So down here, we've got a rabbit run. Let's go a little bit over here and pop a charcoal. So I just kind of put it down and left it for a while. But I may have to get into it if Hades 2 is that good. Okay. But I guess to undetour my detour, and I also forgot the charcoal up there. Should be fine. Yeah, so it might not have been balls, it might have been something, but basically, what I remember is in Hades, there would be a kind of like a static, and this is the... Yeah, but I would want to go through Hades 1 to have that background. Which is why I was thinking, if Hades 2 is good enough to catch your attention, I think maybe I would probably go through Hades 1. And I was thinking, like, after a long day, like, what do I do? Do I do the Resident Evil remakes? Maybe I'll go through Hades right quick. But just sort of like rewind, Bastion was their first game. That was kind of like a top-down action RPG. And like I said, I'm about to date myself. I picked that up in the 5th Humble Bundle. So Humble Bundle number 5 had Bastion in it, and that's where I got it. Yeah, that braid. What else was in there? Bastion braid. I don't remember what else was in the 5th one. But that was a, in my opinion, legendary Humble Bundle. But that was the first of their games that I got, and because Bastion was so good, when I saw that they came out with the next game, Transistor, I picked that one up basically immediately. Was it immediately? Well, I definitely made sure to pick it up. And Transistor had more of a... Let's not use the hatchet for that. Transistor had more of a... It was like a turn-based, but it was moving more towards the Bastion... Not Bastion. The Hades 1 style of gameplay, where there was like a very well-defined play zone, and within this play zone, I looted you. I don't remember if I checked the cave. I think I might have, but let's double check. A very well-defined play zone. You sort of optimize the moves you play, and you have your strategy. Okay, firewood, we can take one of those.
I wonder who owns this stuff.
Okay, I own it. Obviously, possession is 9/10 of the law. And 9/10 is 0.9, as we know, you can declare that you round things up. But I can definitely see how Bastion kind of is on one end, Transistor is in the middle to the call it transition to Hades 1. So I'm a little bit interested to see how they jumped off from Hades 1 and changed the gameplay for Hades 2. So that's something to look forward to. But anyway, now I'm going to try to sell you on Bastion and Transistor. They're probably, given that, you know, Hades 2 is at least their fourth game, and probably bigger in scope and scale, based on, you know, Bastion was a banger, Transistor was a banger, and from what I hear in the whispers, Hades 1 also was received pretty well. So I'm guessing that they went bigger and bolder for Hades 2. Bastion is much more of an indie feel. And it's a much more, I can't say much more, but it's quite an intimate and focused story. But if you are in the mood to just kind of sit down, and it's cozy for what it is. I think Bastion, I don't know if you've heard of / believe this is a thing that's real, but there is a genre of games where I keep saying the wrong thing, where the narrator, like someone who's narrating what's going on, is a pretty big part of the experience. Like, for example, the Stanley Parable as an example of this kind of game. It's actually like the purest distilled version of this kind of game. Bastion, I believe, is the first game to really do that, where you have a narrator who is sort of giving you the blow-by-blow as you play. And it was very well done. The voice actor, excellent. Some of the stuff, pretty funny. It's got kind of like a Wild West meets fantasy vibe. And so if you're kind of in the mood to sort of sit down and just sort of listen to like some ASMR narration as you play a kind of fast-paced top-down action game, I can't think of much better than Bastion. And in addition to that, in my opinion, the aesthetics are great, and there's kind of a gimmick for how, yeah, I mean, look up some YouTube videos maybe. There's a gimmick for how the world will literally come together as you walk towards it. So like, imagine actually, let me make another possible illusion / why am I walking so slow? Right, because I'm heavy. Illusion / reference. I mean, yeah, that's definitely possible. Have you played the first Metro 2033 game? It's a first-person shooter, came out, I want to say like 2018. Where was I walking? We were walking over, I guess, around to the riverbed. Because that's probably, that's going to bother me if it's unexplored. But basically this reference that I'm trying to make is the entirety of the world in Bastion is like blasted apart, and it's just, everything is just abyss. Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. So you've heard of it but haven't played it, or you own it but haven't played it? Because if you own it but haven't played it, I'm about to be very cross, because that's also a very good game. But if you've heard of it, that's fine, because there was a very specific thing near the end that I was going to reference. So instead, maybe I'll spoil a little bit of that. Basically, the premise of Bastion, it's no big deal. The premise of Bastion is that some super weapon was used, and it basically destroyed the world. It ripped it asunder. And the only safe place is the Bastion. Everywhere else is ripped apart. But you have to go to these other places to get pieces to finish sort of the Bastion and make things safe. The places that you go to are like, there's tiny little islands floating in the void. But as you walk, if you walk somewhere that there used to be things that existed, the path will rise from the void, and it will recreate itself underneath your feet as you walk in like a tile kind of motion. And it's a very unique aesthetic for setting. Where do we want to go? The reishi mushrooms. We want to go past the mushrooms. I think the mushrooms are those mushrooms? Where are the mushrooms? But it's a very interesting thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure GTA is like, it's definitely something that is much better at the dopamine drip. Okay, hold on. Where are these mushrooms? Where am I? I'm so confused right now. You know, we're going to waste a charcoal just to find out. Okay, that's actually exactly where I wanted to be. And that's exactly what I wanted to uncover. Okay. Okay, so let's take this junk north because we're so heavy. But yeah, especially since at this point, I'm sure you can find it on sale. You know, pretty steep. Maybe even under $5. So yeah, that's Bastion. Transistor is much more of a story-focused game. So let me put it this way. If I put a scale where on one side is almost constant action-adventure, that's sort of like gameplay, and very little dialogue, like dialogue speaking where you're stopped and just talking to people, I'd say Bastion's on one side of that. Hades, if I put this on, it's probably not like all the way, let's say a proper visual novel is going to be all the way on the other side of the scale. But Hades, I'd put it maybe a 7 out of 10. So there's like a lot of focus on the talking to other characters things, and the quote-unquote gameplay is very sandboxed. So call Hades a 7 out of 10. Transistor, I would call a 4 or 5. There's a lot of aspects that are character communication focused, but not so much that there's ever really like this is definitely 100% I'm just talking and doing nothing else. There's a lot more sort of environmental exploration and traversal, but the gameplay is also a little bit more sandbox than Bastion. But it's still pretty neat. It's more of a turn-based thing. I think I mentioned this. Another thing I'd say, you know, if you like Hades too, you know, definitely check and see where Supergiant Games have come from. And if that sort of, if the trailers / some YouTube videos of these games look interesting to you, I would definitely, if you can find them on sale, I'd definitely not go through an entire Let's Play or an entire, you know, condensed video of it, because there are a lot of, I guess, interesting story beats that I would say are worth experiencing blind. And then you can say, you know, when you go to all your Hades 2 buddies and say, oh, you know, I like Hades 2, and then they say, yeah, it's so good. And you say, but are you a true Supergiant aficionado? Do you understand where all of these mechanics have evolved from? You can be the, you know, you can take your plaid scarf, wrap it around your neck, and be the hipster of the group. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, there is a little bit of a dark splotch. Yeah, you can style on them. Okay, there's a little bit of a dark splotch up here that I want to uncover. If I get lucky and time it just right spatially, maybe we can get away with 1 charcoal, but I think it might be a 2 or 3 situation. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend, if you're looking for something more on the, it's not proper retro, like it's not, you know, 8-bit or Castlevania or that kind of a situation. But if you want, I guess at this point I would be comfortable calling it a retro for the indie scene game, because the indie game scene really just started picking up, I would say, something around maybe after 2005 is what I would estimate. Really hitting its stride. I'd say 2008, 2007, 2008 was the year that indie games really started to hit their stride. Because I think Bastion came out that year. I think Braid came out that year. Maybe, did Super Meat Boy come out that year? It might have been that year, or it might have been close to that. I've already probably gone too far. I did not mean to drop that. So, there are a lot of games from kind of around that area that I would consider to be retro for indie games. Not a retro indie game, because that will be an indie game that is trying to emulate the retro feel of like a Super Mario. But they are pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? They're pretty creative. They're generally very directed and focused. And if you can find something that came out in that time period, it's usually a pretty good bet that it came out before all of the early access Steam Greenlight slop started to come out. So you've got it's a pretty good bet that the quality of the game is high. Just in case you're ever looking for, if you're ever in the mood for that kind of thing. So what tends to happen is it tends to be high quality. The mechanics tend to be focused. I hesitate to call them simple, but let's call them focused. So high quality, focused, not too complicated. And that's a bear. Why is there a bear here? Well, I guess you learn something new every day, huh? But they definitely all have their own vibe. Low visibility too, that's unfortunate. I would consider this to be fully mapped, so let's not worry about that. Yeah, this is, so a couple of days in game, imagine this fog, but you can't see past that tree that's right in the front of the screen there. That was some serious serial killer axe murder fog. But yeah, let me make two recommendations. Yeah, right now. So while they're on the top of my head, one of them being Bastion, which is top-down, kind of a 2.5D isometric game. The other one, which is a very different genre, kind of, well, I don't know how similar I'd call the aesthetic. They're more similar than they're different. The other one is Braid, B-R-A-I-D, like you would do with hair. And that one is a two-dimensional puzzler game. And I guess there's two gimmicks to it. One of the gimmicks is that every single asset is like hand-painted painting. And the other asset is, it's not just a 2D platformer where, you have to master like time your jumps to be pixel perfect. It's a game where you can control time. So you can rewind time as much as you want. Like if you make a mistake, rewind time. If you want to sort of mess around with the timings of certain things, so you can hop on one enemy's head just as another enemy comes around, you can see exactly how the enemies will move. Then you rewind time and you jump at the perfect instant. And that's kind of the gimmick for the puzzles. And so it's pretty interesting. And I don't know of really another game that does something so involved with kind of a time situation. Again, I'm about to make a reference. Who knows if it's going to land? The Prince of Persia games, the recent ones, have that rewind time mechanic. When I say recent, I mean like the ones starting in there was one in 2003 through like 2012. They might have done a reboot. And of course, I'm sure we dropped the lantern. So let's see. Do we remember where the storm lantern is? The Prince of Persia had a rewind time gimmick. It was also a platformer 3D. where if you like, fell off a cliff or ran into a spike, you could rewind time for about 5 seconds. But in this one, in Braid, rewinding time it's a central mechanic as opposed to just kind of like an extra life. And it's woven into the story and the gameplay rather tightly. Okay, let's see here. Okay, this should be where my lantern is. Where's my lantern? I'm just scanning back and forth in the pitch black. Okay, leave farmhouse. That's too far going around. So I can't remember which door it was in. So I know there's 2 doors. One door has it's like, I guess it's kind of like a shelf. Maybe it is that door. There's a shelf on the right and I put a lantern on the shelf. The other door has a chair to the left. So let's check for the chair. Chair to the left? No. Shelf to the right. Let's go forward and just kind of scan the top of the shelf. Uh-oh, I think I might have lost the door. Okay, up. Pillow? Wait, why is there a pillow here? What? Okay, hold on. That may have given me an idea. Let's turn around and kind of stumble until we... You know what? What time is it? It's just early night. Let's just look at the ground and wait until we walk over something that we dropped. I know. They call it the long dark. Who would have known it could get so dark? Because I really don't want to burn a match. Because it seems like such a waste to burn a match for. Okay, here's the table. Let's just walk until we can't. Look down. Pillow. Why is there a pillow and where was the pillow? Here's a chair. I don't even know what room I'm in anymore. Like shelf, curtain, chair, pillow. Okay, you know what? I'm giving up. We're burning a match. We're probably not even in the kitchen. We're not even in the kitchen. We're in the office. We're in the complete wrong room. Okay. I didn't even go in the right... Does this place have... This place has 3 doors. Okay, that's what trolled me. That is the number one thing that trolled me. Okay, bearskin bedroll, you know what? We're sleeping. We are just... First we're eating to make sure that we don't lose our well-rested bonus. And then we're sleeping because I'm just a little bit salty about that. I did not know... Who needs 3 doors in a house? What kind of monster would design such an architectural abomination? I can't believe this. Okay, where the heck are we? We're drinking. Okay, and now let's see. Can I guess where the lantern is? I'm looking up a little bit and a little bit to the right. There should be a shelf somewhere over here. I just glimpsed it before. Aha. I am a god. You may bow before me. For I bring light. On the first day, I have said it. Okay. This door goes outside. This door goes outside. And this... I thought that I was in one of those first 2 doors. It turns out I wasn't. I thought this is the shelf that I was seeing. I was a little bit confused because I thought, I didn't think I could break down this shelf. It turns out I was right. I can't break down that shelf. And this is the chair that I was looking for, which I guess I couldn't have even seen from here. All right, you know what? Sometimes it really do just be like that. But what time is it? It's still kind of the middle of the night. Let's drop all this junk. And when I say junk, I mean all this stuff that needs to cure before we can use it properly. Yeah, look at all this good stuff. This is a serious supply bin. Hiccup depot. Okay, we don't need all these sticks. Or do we? Hold on. Let's just stand out here and think for a moment. We are fully rested. Hiccup. Do I want to go back to the storage and make/drop some water there? Yeah, I mean, disorganized is, that's saying it. You should see my desk before I cleaned it up. And you should have seen my work desk. Papers all over the place. Okay, let's see. No, I think we want to leave this storage as is. We can always make water later if we come back. Head to the... This should be a tiny little bit of river. Head to the river, go south, link this up, and then head more east to finish our donut that someone has already taken 2 bites out of. But I think we need to wait for the light. Aha. We can use this opportunity to scavenge through this building over here. Okay, let's see. What have we here? Spray paint. I guess the spray paint that we have is almost run out, and it's never a bad idea to have a backup. Is that really all that's in here? Show me the money. And it turns out we're broke. Okay, fine. Be that way. Anything good under the silo? This silo should be filled with grain I can use to make flour, right? And nothing. Okay. So let's see if we can get 1 more hour of sleep in. Let's go in the correct door this time, which is the door with the storm door. Okay, not you. Absolutely not you. And yes, you. Okay, so by the doghouse. We want to go in by the doghouse. Okay. Forward down should be our bedroll somewhere around here, right? Sleep. And actually, we might just have to wait a couple of hours because dawn is still a little bit far off. And we might just have to... 3 hours? 2 hours. Yeah, we passed time for 2. Sleep for 1. Yeah, to be honest, I think this is supposed to be a sort of down-to-earth, realistic survival game where, you're just a normal dude. You're living in the Canadian wilderness. I think Mackenzie, who is the character here, is actually a superhero because this man can take naps on demand like nobody's business. And what would I give for that ability? It's like, honestly, he can be this close to being completely fully rested and just be like, nah, I'm out like a light for exactly 1 hour. Absolutely magical. Okay, and I lost the bedroll. Where's the bedroll? Here it is. Okay, sleep. And now we should be basically ready to go. All right, looking good. Hold on, we're slow because we're crouching. What did I want? How are we? Is this enough food? It's enough food, it's not enough water. 2 water bottles. Thank you. We can drop our lantern again. Yeah, it does. But he can also decide to wake up exactly when he intends to. So it's kind of like, I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. And even now, so let's see. So if you look here, actually, I think we can see it in the inventory screen. This one. So here. In the bottom left here, it tells us a little bit about our clothes. For example, right now we have a plus 26 Celsius warmth bonus. So 26 Celsius is just about room temperature, I think. The rule of thumb that I use, converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit, which usually works at normal human temperatures, but once you start getting too high or too low, it kind of fails, is You take the Celsius, what is it? Yeah, you multiply by 2. No, let me think. I always need to remember the order of it. You take the, take the Celsius, multiply by 2, and then add 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So warmth bonus 26, multiply by 2 is 52, add 30, or 32 for freezing, is 84. So if we were just like chilling at freezing temperatures outside, like at exactly 32 degrees Fahrenheit, with this clothing, it would feel like it's in the 80s. But if we look at the bedroll, it tells us what it feels like. And because we are inside, it feels, wait, or is it because we're inside? Let me see. Let's take some of these clothes off. Off and off. Okay, so I guess this feels like is all things combined. It doesn't tell us what the ambient temperature is. But we want to put this back on. But if our bonus is 26, and it feels like 27, and that means the ambient inside is 1 degree Celsius. And I don't remember the point that I was initially making, but I think it was sometimes you can be warm. So Mackenzie can't always use, oh, I was cold as the excuse for being able to just fall asleep on a dime. Okay. We want to head this way. And I believe, yeah, if the bridge is there, then the river should be just over this ridge. Our arrow situation is still pretty strong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The bow is getting a little bit weak, but 30 should still be about 15 shots with it. Okay. All right, and I'm probably, yeah, I only have 2 charcoal. So we're actually going to have to burn some more. And if we want to do that, I think we're going to need some more firewood, which we can start with these sticks. Okay, so let's charcoal before it looks like this blizzard is going to come on us. There we go. And I think the order of right now is pick up as many sticks as possible without using a hatchet to break down. I keep hearing strange ice noises that I think are something coming up behind me. Okay, you and you. But sometimes it really is just a rock falling on the ice. Oh yeah, look at all these nice sticks around here. Easy. Easy game. Okay. Break down, broken down. Now surely this isn't so wide that it'll start cracking on us. Okay, probably safe. Want to get all these sticks. Maybe if we go farther, even pop off our other charcoal. Okay. And actually, oh, such decadence. Okay, so one of my cats, I guess we should call it my cat, because the other one isn't really mine, I'm just temporarily in possession of it. My cat very much enjoys laying down and or sitting down right between the monitor and the keyboard. And it's very cute. But the problem is when he splays out and starts napping and starts rearranging himself, his little paws and his little arms and his little head start pressing the buttons on the keyboard. So he kind of forces the keyboard closer and closer to the edge of the desk until at this point, once he hops up, usually what I'll do is I'll just take the keyboard and put it on my lap, which is why I was having such trouble finding the inventory key earlier.
I might have to drop some gear.
But currently, I think he's over on a window. No, he's... Oh no, that's the diabetes cat on the ground over there. Just looking at me. Currently, the sleeps on the desk cat is probably out on a windowsill, looking outside. Which means that I have the luxury of having the keyboard in its correct location. I mean, if we're keeping it real, actually though. Okay. Like if he's sleeping on the middle of the bed, I'm curled up against the wall. If he decides that he's hungry, it's gotta go feed him immediately. Okay, now let's think. Do we have a cooking implement? Yeah, we have one recycled can. And with all of this firewood, the question is, do we want to go up to the signal tower to do the cooking and burning of all this fire? I don't think so. I think we'll stick down here for now. Actually, first let's pop this last charcoal. We can spend the rest of the day letting the fire burn down. And then maybe move on. Actually, but it'll be nighttime, but then it'll be time to sleep. I think it'll work out pretty well, actually. Okay, that was good. Yeah, I'm feeling good about this. The current time situation. Okay. As long as that bear doesn't roll up. Which you never know. Okay. Hey, there he is. There's our buddy. Well, as long as he sticks over there. We eat, drink, we be merry. How many sticks do we have? We have 75 sticks. That's not half bad. That's almost 12 hours of burn time. Each stick, I think, is about 10 minutes. Oh, and it's sunny. We might even be able to start this fire with a magnifying glass. So it turns out that once the luxury begins, it does not end. First, we have the luxury of putting the keyboard on the desk, and now we have the luxury, the absolute depravity of starting a fire with the magnifying glass and not wasting a match to do it. Man, everything is looking up. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, and is there anything in here that I missed during the night? That's going to be a no. Okay, there's the doghouse. So this is the correct entrance. It's just getting the habit, even though it's daytime. It's creaking. It's creeping me out. Okay, there we go. Looking good, feeling good.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Oh, you can carry much more. What were we going to do? We were going to actually start a fire out here, grab a torch, and then start a fire inside. I guess that's technically indoors, huh? Okay. We should do, right about here, and, oh my goodness. The absolute luxury. Amazing. Absolute splendiferity. And no, that's not a word, but it doesn't have to be. Okay, we stick it, and then we grab a torch. A pretty good torch, actually. Okay, hopefully we don't light anything on fire. Okay. There's our torch, and... Let's keep the cedar. Actually, I want to do some math right now. Let's get this fire started.
Come on.
Kind of a waste,
Turned out
though,
pretty well.
because there's nothing to cook. We can't always just get absolutely filthy with the water generation. Which we might... That's what we might do. Okay, so let's do some math. A cedar log... We have 2 of them for 1 kilogram, so 1 is 1/2 of 1 kilogram. And that's good for an hour and a half of burn time. Stick. 53, 7.95. You know what? We're going to drop everything and then pick up 1. Okay, a stick is 0.15 kilograms. And that's only good for 11 minutes of burn time. So cedar is good for 90 minutes. Stick is worth 11. 10 sticks. No. 3 sticks almost weighs as much as 1 cedar. Okay, so cedar is actually almost 3 times as good per weight as sticks are for burn time. Of course, the one downside is you can't fine-tune your burn time with a whole cedar log like you can with a stick. But what it does mean is that sticks are the low efficiency, the low economy way of holding burn time. So you want to use those first. Okay. Get absolutely silly with the water. These things should all, I mean, they're in the process of curing. It's only been a couple of days, so even the gut's not cured, and it'll be a while more for the pelts and the, what's the word I'm looking for? The saplings. Because once the saplings are cured, I actually kind of want to find a workbench and make another bow. Because we do have a secondary bow at 57% condition. It would be nice to have a backup now that our main one is down to, what is this? 30%. I'd really only trust a 30% bow for a single outing. Okay, we boil.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
Oh, did I pick that up too early? I did. And I'm not even going to worry. Oops, not cook, water. Not even going to worry about wasting time, well, wasting burn time with these 3 empty cooking slots here. Because there's no meat to cook, and we've got all this burn time. Beautiful. Okay. Still an hour 30 on you. Let's put a few more shrimps on the Barbie. Here are my sticks. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this might line up pretty well with nighttime. Then we can sleep through most of the night and move in the early dawn to our next location. Yeah. Yeah, go for it, dude. And I'll just be chatting. I mean, to be honest, it's 12:30 over here. It might be about time for me to call it too. In fact, I might do that. I might burn this fire down and then end it here. So I'll see you on the proverbial flip side. All right. Back to our rhythm game. That was probably a little... Yeah. Let's see. How much water do I have right now? We've got a pretty obscene amount of water. Okay, I'm not even worried about wasting the rest of this burn time. We're burning these sticks just to burn them at this point. And I'm okay with that. So now, let's read books until we can't read books anymore. Read you. And let's Definitely not going to get all 6 hours, but a girl can dream. Yeah, only got about 3 hours. I guess it's because we're thirsty. Let's anti-thirst. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to sort of figure out when things make sense. But yeah, let's just say I'm working on it. Definitely working on it. We were reading. Okay, maybe not even gonna get, yeah, that fire burned out. And I guess now we can just sleep. Sleep as much as possible. Yeah, I'm thinking, maybe I'll try for late mornings. Should be kind of early morning-ish your time. Yes. Drink all the water. But yeah, it's all a matter of, having all the affairs in order, right? Okay. How close are we to dawn? Not close enough. Wait for a couple of hours, then we can sleep for another hour, and then I'll... Well, first, let's make sure I don't forget the charcoal in the fire. It'd be a shame to leave without that. I don't know, it could be a connection thing. We'll see. We shall see. Okay, and we're light. Everything is looking up. How many charcoals? 8 charcoals. I kind of wish for more, but I'll take what I can get. Drink, 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 drink. Basically, I'm thinking maybe late mornings for me, so maybe it'd be something like early morning for you. But we'll see. Let's just say that I'm not quite yet. I can't yet promise that it'll be a regular time, but it is something that I'm aware of, so don't worry. I'm working on it. Definitely working on it. Okay, so let's prepare for leaving during the next time. Which means a little bit of food. Let's get these foods. Okay, I'd be comfortable leaving with this many calories. Ooh, especially, that's a nice fish. That is a nice looking fish right there. Yeah, this is a lot of calories actually. Okay, so next order of business is head south, clear this out. Probably will end up running out of charcoal again, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll grab this save from going inside. And 34, yeah, so we can eat that food, maybe pick up a water bottle or two. Yeah, 36. Let me drop this reclaimed wood. And maybe also this scrap metal. Okay, and then let's just grab one more save and then call it there. Okay, which you only get from going inside, apparently. Going inside or sleeping, or getting attacked by an animal, I think also saves for you. Okay. Alright, so I guess I'll see you on the proverbial flip side. And yeah, you too, man. Keep on trying. Let's see, how do I do... Okay, here we go.